Welcome to the WMMA Today podcast with Drake Riggs and I, Steve King. We have a decent lineup this week, a little bit larger than the past few weeks. We have a couple recaps. We have some mailbag questions, of course. We have the news. We have a couple of previews to do, and then of course the Phantom breakdown with our buddy Ghost Phantom. Welcome to everybody who's here live with us in the chat. I hope you guys have a great week. Let's fucking go, Drake.
Let's do it. First of all, though, let's check out the comments here because I'm seeing some great ones coming in here. Jimmy, our man. This is my favorite podcast. I always look forward to Mondays after class just for this. Oh my goodness. You're going to make us cry right out the gate, man. Appreciate you so much. James is here, the other mod. Greetings to the best WMA show / podcast on YouTube. No other channel that's thoughtful analysis, respectful chat room, and most importantly, cover the women with a passion like you guys. We try, man. We try. Great to see you as always. Sammy's here. What is up, sir? Rue is hey. Jin is back. I second that, James. Only WMA show I watch on YouTube. The rest pales in comparison to this one. You're goddamn right they do.
That's fucking right.
Ghost Phantom with the perfect let's fucking go.
So let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go then. Let me just quick get the freeze off real quick. Apologies. All right. Steve and I already touched on it, but we're kicking things off with the first recap. The fight card with the most action from the weekend, unfortunately. All right, Steve. PFL playoffs 2, PFL 8 of the whole season. They really make it confusing in terms of what the event is called, but here we are, the playoffs.
I think they make everything confusing, Drake.
Fair. But, Steve, believe it or not, you guys, Kayla Harrison won. She won again. Wow.
Oh, boy. Shocking. This is my shocked face.
As you can tell, stunned over there is Mr. King. But, yeah, so Kayla got it done. Unsurprisingly, 4 minutes in, right 4 minutes and 1 second, TKO ground and pound.
Unbelievable.
Jenna Fabian did pretty much absolutely nothing in this fight except for get punched.
She got hit,
which was a bummer because felt like she could have done a lot more. At least last week, Steve. And we didn't think it would be enough. We both picked Kayla, and I think I think I said second round, and I had a feeling maybe submission. I don't remember what I picked. I knew Kayla was going to win, of course, but yeah, I did think Fabian would put up more of a fight than nothing at all.
I mean, I did. I thought Fabian would do a hell of a lot better, but she did absolutely nothing. It was bad. It was a very bad fight. Kayla Harrison continues to prove how good she is in that division. There's nothing more to see, man. I'm done. Like it's over. It's done.
Yeah, it's shout out to Kaposa Grabaka Hitman on Twitter. He had a great tweet about this fight, saying that Kayla's dominations aren't even fun anymore. There's not even like drama to it. And you can compare it to like, at least with when tension styles on people, you get excited about, oh, how is he going to beat this guy? With Kayla, it's like, yep, she's going to just go out and smash. She's going to smash. But that's it. I would have loved to see her try and, of course, it would have been more dangerous to try and outstrike Jenna, but that would have been like the new thing that you really want to see from Kayla is some very advanced striking or developments there. But she's fighting smart, which is smart, and there's no reason not to do these kind of approaches that she has been, especially in this fight. But it just doesn't do anything for you anymore, right? And we've seen she's built up 11-0 now. Is that what it is? 11-0 right there.
Yeah, very very fast. 11-0.
These performances aren't impressive anymore. And I said this a couple fights ago. You guys have heard it with me saying this, but she needs to fight better people because it's telling us nothing anymore. We've seen all that we can see with this level of competition, and she
has to go down in weight to do that.
Right. which she can do.
Which she's already proven. Look, it's
she might have looked even better there.
it's so weird because I keep seeing people say she can't make 145. Dude, she's made 145. She's proven it. We've covered it. We've talked about it. This should be a non-factor. Like not even something people should be saying anymore. She's proven that she can do it. She can fight at 145 and she would be fine.
Yeah, nobody should still be saying that, and if they are, they just clearly missed the Invicta fight. I think that's pretty much all that is. But good to see you, Mr. Lee, saying the scrap with a thumbs up. And Joseph is here, and he asked a question related to some news later, so we're going to hold off on that one, Joseph. But thanks for chiming in. And sticking with this, though, he says, are you guys surprised that Kayla is the underdog to both Nunes and Cyborg? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She should be. She hasn't, as we just said, she hasn't beat anyone to earn her the right to have favoritism over two of the greatest fighters of all time. Yes, Kayla's looked incredible, but we got to consider we've seen this kind of thing before with several undefeated fighters. And I say this every time we talk about Kayla's level of competition as well. She's clearly, undeniably extremely talented, but you got to look at who she's doing it against. Like, I guarantee you she can beat some of the best 145ers in the world. Of course she can. She can beat Julia Budd. She can beat Nunes and Cyborg too. I believe that because that's how skilled she is. But yeah, I don't think you can pick her against them until we see her actually do something against them, which we haven't even seen anything close to that, because the fighter she's beating right now, all the three people I just mentioned, they run through them. Budd, Cyborg, Nunes do just as bad things to everyone Kayla's fought as Kayla has. You know what I mean? So no, it's not surprising whatsoever, Joseph. Don't buy into the nonsense of, overhyping, which I think we're kind of starting to slow down on that with this in some cases. But yeah, that's too much to say that.
It's way too fucking much. I mean, Amanda Nunes is the best ever. Chris Cyborg is the second best ever, I guess.
He's up there, obviously. But
yeah.
So that's how that is. And our man is here, Steve.
Alvin!
He says, hello, guys. Phenomenal performance by Ms. Harrison, but I wish Fabian a great career ahead, and hopefully she gets better from the loss. She only had one loss before this, and
well, she has to do something to get better.
Yeah, and they all need to go to 145. It's first of all, I know it's a good idea to stick with the money, and we'll get to that on the next fight. But I don't know what exactly. It's a weird fight to try and learn from, because she lost in the way that she surely knew she would have most likely would have lost in, and it's against one of the best grapplers you can possibly fight. So it's a very weird one to try and come back from, and kind of makes me curious about picking her brain about it, maybe later on, obviously, after she's had time and comes back and all that. But we'll see where everybody goes from here, Alvin, because everyone is just not touching Kayla. So it unfortunately doesn't really matter as if they're in the PFL in that regard, in terms of growing and getting, having great success. But I don't know. It kind of makes you feel bad for everyone else, right? I don't know. It's a tricky thing.
Well, I mean, they know who's ahead of them going into it. Mm-hmm. They know Kayla's there. It's not a fucking secret that she's there.
No, not at all. Not at all. But Go says Kayla does have some interesting things she does on the feet striking wise, but it would be good to see her against good competition. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Kayla striking is, it's not at all bad for a grappler of that caliber so early, and I guess still at this pretty early stage in terms of speed. Like you said, Steve, she's racked up 11 wins in a very short period of time. But again, look at the competition. She's taken pretty much no damage, pretty much, besides from maybe the Pacheco fights, 6 rounds against her. So, I mean, if you want to compare, I'm sure that she could hang with Ronda on the feet, if you want to make that judo comparison. But again, it's hard to really tell when we haven't seen her tested even in that. And we thought, at least hoped, Fabian would be able to test her a little bit, but she didn't even get the chance. really, that first minute was a staring contest, a little bit of a feeling out, and then Kayla got in, closed the distance, and that was pretty much the fight.
Yeah,
so
terrible. It was. I mean, it was so one-sided. We can't even call it a fight. It was the Kayla Harrison show.
Yeah. So Stamina is here. London calling. Greetings to Scrap Packers. Good to see you, my man.
What is up, Stamina?
Jen says Harrison fighting people in a division that doesn't really exist. Precisely, has always been the case. Chuck is here. Good to see you, Chuck. He says Harrison lightweight, Cyborg / Nunes featherweight. Yes.
For now.
Yeah, for now. I mean, Chuck, I know you saw the Invicta fight. Don't get silly now. But Sammy says, man, love Alvin's positive energy. Always wishing people well. That is why we love Alvin as well. Yep. And he has great takes himself. So always happy when he's here. Joseph says, to Drake, what are your thoughts on Jamie Varner ripping Misha on Twitter? I don't listen to anything Jamie Varner says because he is a very ignorant douchebag when it comes to the women. If you have paid any attention to him on Twitter since he retired, he is just an absolute dick about the women and should not be taken seriously on his opinions there. So that's how I feel about that, Joseph. Don't listen to him. I loved watching Jamie Varner fight, but he is a dumbass. Sorry. And Juicy Jackson is here and he agrees. So there's that.
Hello.
Yeah, this will get you guys fired up. I'm sorry, I got to say it, but if you want to get real upset, go look at what Jamie Varner said about Weili versus Tisha. He thought that was one of the worst fights ever and that they were both terrible. So that's all you need to know about how stupid he is.
He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Very, very sexist in that regard. So, yeah.
I think he's just a fucking idiot.
And that. But Rain says, hi, Drake and Steve. Man, watching Kayla destroy 155ers. Not fun anymore. Exactly.
It's not. Drake literally took a nap in between PFL events.
I did do that.
That's how he feels about the PFL in general. Not
Which
fun
is
anymore.
Rare for me, but yeah, and I was telling Steve too. I think for me, I don't know if it's the combination of these.
I think it's everything, man. Like what we were talking about. I think it's everything, man. It's just
well the pacing though is that was my thought. So I was feeling a little bit sleepy after those first 3 fights, and I was like, I'll see if I can take a nap real quick before the next fight happens, because that's how much fucking time it takes between fights in the PFL. It was 9 fights. I was telling Steve this before. 9 fights from 3 our time, Pacific time, to like 9. Which for 9 fights, Ryzen would get that done in like half that time.
That's wild, man. This is wild.
It's not good at all. But yeah, James says, does anyone listen to Jamie Varner? Period. No, they definitely shouldn't. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, same goes for Buckholes. Oh boy, that guy's.
Where did that guy go?
Yeah, he's actually commented on some of my stuff before, just talking shit about the fighters, and I'm like, dude, how did any women even work with you? It's like he is just blatantly terrible.
Good fighters actually worked with him at.
No, he was a decent coach.
Team Alpha.
Not a very good fighter, but yeah, very, very sexist. Yeah. Stamina says, destroy 155ers with air quotes. She's the only actual one out of them. Yep, that's a very good point as well.
It's not even a division.
No, it's the Kayla show.
The
pretty
Kayla
much.
division, yeah, exactly.
Yep. So
and now the Pacheco's out. Fucking, it's even worse.
Yeah. Jimmy says, honestly, I just rewatch PFL on replay so I don't deal with commercial breaks. That's a smart idea. That also drove me fucking insane, man. It's not just a PFL thing. It's so an ESPN Plus thing, Steve. They play the same commercials every time. Spam. I swear that Heels commercial, that new wrestling show on Stars or whatever, I swear they played that the first commercial after every single, once the break started, every time, dude.
It's actually a good show.
I was going crazy. I've heard this, but I don't even want to see that show ever again now because you
should watch it. To be honest, you guys should watch it. I know the commercials are annoying as fuck, but that's ESPN's fault. To be honest, that's not the Heels, the show. That's not their fault. So you should watch it. It's actually really good. It's a pro wrestling pro wrestling show. It's actually really entertaining.
Yeah, and CM Punk helped with it, right? Who? Oh boy, Steve, don't get me started on that because I could go on for a while talking about that. But,
So could I. You want to go?
We'll try and do it tomorrow. I might be on a wrestling podcast for the scrap as well. We might have some wrestling stuff coming out for you guys if you would like. So, but yes, Joseph, I see your comments. We will get to that. It's a part of the news. Don't worry. And we'll touch on that stuff. Mr. Lee says, goodbye, PFL. Thumbs down. Ryan says, I illegally stream everything. I will only pay if Whaley is fighting. Anything else, I'll be waiting. Okay. I appreciate the honesty, man. That's really funny.
I love it. I'm here for it, Rain.
Yeah. And Alex is here. What is up, man? Thanks
What's
for
up, Alex?
tuning in, chiming in, all that good stuff. Alex and I got somebody lined up this week, so that'll be fun to talk to them. But yeah, he agrees. The commercial breaks of PFL were so long and repetitive.
They're terrible.
Just they really need to fix that next season because it's going to be stuck.
Or they can just go away.
Here. Yeah,
honestly, come on. Would we miss the PFL if they just disappeared?
I mean, it's weird, right? Because like
I know, like it's giving opportunity to fighters and whatnot, but would we miss the PFL if it just went away?
So as a whole, like probably not, right? Because we've already had our gripes a little bit with the format. It's just maybe a little bit too much, and obviously with this lightweight season in particular, just been just a little bit rough. But well, I mean, I would miss the fighters,
if they
but
keep going
they can
with
go somewhere.
If they keep going along with this lightweight division or whatever without Kayla Harrison, dude.
Oof. Good for someone else, dude. That they would love that. All of the fighters.
Well, yeah, of course, those other fighters would love it, but nobody's going to be into it at all.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see if she does leave after this, and then if they.
What can they do to keep her? What can they do to keep her? Bring Julia Budd in? That's not enough.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but she spoke to Shaq. Shout out to her, man, Shaquille, majority friend of the show over at MMA Mania, spoke to Kayla before this fight, and she said that she'll need life-changing money, right? And you're like, she's already winning millions a year.
That's not life-changing, I guess.
And I feel like that is reiterating what I've been saying, Steve, about how I think now she's earned enough money and all that to where she's a competitor. She was in the fucking Olympics. She wants to prove that she truly is the best in MMA, and she can't do that in the PFL. She knows that.
It's all about legacy now.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, and I don't know if PFL is going to be able to do that. They will have to give her everything, but even then, whatever that number is, I feel like it's going to be too big at this point because she knows. And I feel like you could kind of tell with that post-fight speech, which was a lot of nonsense because no one's doubting her. And that was what she was saying.
No one at all is doubting you anymore, especially not in the PFL. Look, if she goes to the UFC or Bellator, there will be doubters.
It's interesting. Yeah.
There will be doubters. Of course there will be doubters. But right now in the PFL, ain't nobody fucking doubting Kayla Harrison. She's running through these people. It's like you said, Drake, she hasn't taken damage.
Yeah. Yep. It's been about as easy as it could be. So Joseph does say, though, asking both of us if we think the only woman that can test Harrison is Nunes. No, not the only one. I mean, we pretty much already said with Bud and Cyborg, and even Blanco could be interesting on the feet, at least. I think she put up more of a fight than Fabian.
Yeah, at least Blanco can throw, and she hurts people.
Right. But no, I mean, there are definitely more tests than just Nunes, Joseph. But again, they might not be after she gets to face them. But that's the thing is right now, they look like tests because of competition-wise. That's just how it is.
Pacheco tested her.
Well, yeah, she didn't even finish Pacheco in 2 fights. So, I mean, Look at that. Just look at that for a recent example, you know? And I mean, Pacheco was looking even better this season. So I'm really bummed that we're going to miss that fight. If we have to see Kayla versus anyone in the finals,
Yeah.
that would have been obviously the most interesting one.
So why don't we move on to her next opponent?
Yep. Which is Taylor Gardado, who beat Mariana Moraes in a split. And the fight, this wasn't the original fight, you guys.
Such a terrible fight. Oh my God.
I don't remember a whole lot from this one because it was
bad.
not so memorable. But what this was supposed to be, this was supposed to be Gordado versus Pacheco, but then in typical lightweight, non-existent division fashion, Pacheco missed weight by 2 pounds. Incredible. Moraes, could you imagine? You'd imagine if Moraes would have got the nod here and then that slaughter just plays on repeat. Oh, that was like 50-second destruction. It would have been the same thing.
It might not be any better with Gordado.
No. She's too small. I mean, most of them. Moraes was a flyweight, and Gordado is a solid bantamweight prospect.
Falls to 17-12.
Yep, Mariana Moraes.
And then Gordado is 3-1 now.
Her best chance is to wrestle, and that's not going to work. I bet the odds will be even crazier for this. You know,
it's got to be like 5,000, minus 5,000. It'll probably be minus 4,000 to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be something. But this was also kind of the ridiculousness that came to my mind after this event concluded. After this fight ended, though, Gardado versus Moraes. Not so much the fight itself, obviously, as Steve mentioned, but just it's incredible to kind of think about how the PFL has, you know, if we're going to give them credit, they have created this opportunity for fighters who have little to no experience. In the case of most of these lightweights we've seen since they've done this, but with Taylor Gardado, who last year, Steve, made her pro debut in Invicta at bantamweight. And now, she's 3-1, and she is fighting for $1 million in only her fifth fight, whereas some UFC champions have never made that much for a single fight.
Horrible.
It's just kind of weird, man. It's bizarro world. Like, great for those fighters getting that chance, which is why I'm like, that's why the PFL needs to be around.
Yeah.
If there's one reason, that is why. Because that's just insane. If you think about those comparisons, like I think BJ Penn's most money he made for a UFC fight was like 300,000, maybe. I don't remember. I know I did research on this once, but
and he was amazing
less than $500,000.
And he was amazing in his prime.
Yeah, and I mean,
one of the best fighters at the time, like ever, in his prime.
Even John Jones didn't make $1 million until like his last couple. The DC rematch, maybe. I mean, it hasn't happened very much for him either, but it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, Kayla Harrison's making money that fighters dream of making. And easily.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it's crazy that she's is open about leaving and going somewhere else when she's making this money very easily.
Yeah.
But she's a competitor, man. She wants that legacy. She wants those big legacy fights. She wants people to know her name after she fucking dies.
Yeah, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Not really surprising that that's the attitude. So, yep. But Yusuf is here, and he says, "Welcome back, the best in the world, CM Punk.
The best, one of the most motherfucking world.
One of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Period. I will say that much on it. That was something else. Centro Wing is here. Hello, sir. Good to see you.
What is up?
What is up, buddy? Alex says every interview she does, she seems so eager to leave the PFL.
It does. It's crazy, man. It's like me. I'd be like, fuck it. I don't give a fuck about fighting Amanda Nunes. I'm taking this money.
Yeah, it's just all so unique. Alvin says, I understand everyone's gripes with the PFL, but I thoroughly enjoy all the fights because all the fighters work so hard for training camp, and PFL is a great way to showcase their skills. I love you, Alvin. I do, man. I really do.
I mean, that's
And
that's the good way to look at the PFL. Yeah.
like I said, the opportunity, that's
Yeah.
what I do love about them as well.
For sure. For sure. I mean, they're giving them a really great platform and a big one. To be honest, like let's be honest, it's on ESPN2, it's on ESPN Plus. ESPN is the biggest sports network in the world. There's a platform for them, and if they have like a sick knockout or whatever, they're on Sports Center's top 10. You know, there's all of that going on, but it's everything else other than the actual fights themselves that make the PFL very hard to watch.
Yeah, and Centro Wing here with, pretty much the problem as well is like he says he didn't even watch. It's literally the Kayla Harrison show. Like that, of course, turns people off from being interested because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, like, dude, come on. We already know Drake. We've known since, especially since Pacheco's out, but we've known looking at all the names, all the matchups before they even started this damn tournament. We knew Kayla Harrison was going to win. There was nobody there. Nobody was going to even
I gave Caitlin a chance. I did. Of course, not a huge one, but the experience and all that. Yeah.
But the experience only gets you so far with a girl like Kayla Harrison. I mean, she's just too dominant, man.
Yeah. Physically imposing. Yeah. And Joseph says, I feel like this PFL season is a joke. Shields cannot defend a takedown. Dana pay Kayla $6 million. Yeah. That fight, we know how that one would go as well. Also, though, I did want to say from a business side, though, Steve, to play devil's advocate, it's like, what else are they going to do when you do have Kayla? Like, they got to act like they know what's going to happen too, because they do, you got to kind of, I guess, play it that way. But it's so strange.
Yeah, I mean, what they can do is they can go out and get better fighters and
right
give them incentive to come and join their tournament. They went out and got Rory McDonald. That's a big fucking name, even though he's out, which is wild in itself to me.
Yeah.
But they went out and got Rory McDonald. It's a big name, man.
Yeah. And I mean, even Verdum, who, of course, he's not in his prime anymore, but, fucking Verdum's been around forever. And
yeah, I mean, those are former champions.
Yeah. Yeah. Multiple time champions. So, Alex says, would going to the UFC be good or bad for her career? Big platform, but few opponents to build her legacy. I think we kind of touched on that last week a little bit. And we kind of touch on it every time. It's like for the longevity of continuing to compete, Bellator clearly, because they have a division. They have a real division. But in terms of being looked at more seriously, I guess, then it would be the UFC and beating Amanda, but like that's all she can do, right? It's like you do that and try and bounce.
Yeah, there's nobody else that they can even give her. They have to give Kayla Harrison Amanda Nunes from the jump as soon as she signs. That's her fight, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to see her fight Norma Dumont. No disrespect to Norma Dumont, but we want to see her fight Kayla Harrison fight Amanda Nunes, not Norma Dumont.
Yeah, and I mean, Norma has her own frustrations with these divisions anyway, so
right.
Yeah. It's It's ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. All this stuff with these heavier divisions.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just so weird. Like when they first started this, you and I talked about it. We were like, there's no women out there. And they're literally using smaller women. Kayla Harrison's the only one. The only true 155 fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's completely true. So Stamina says, though, the thing is, Amanda and Chris are pretty much the apex for someone like Kayla. For that reason, she needs to fight every other broad out there first, and Nunes and Cyborg are like the final bosses. But when the gap is so wide here, Stamina.
Yeah.
If it was Bellator and she worked through that ladder, I'm fine with that. But
well, because there's an actual division and there's fighters that are like worthy of her competition.
Yes, but also then from a business side, the promotion's not going to wait on that. Once they have her, they don't. It's not much of a risk to let
maybe
her
one fight.
that.
Maybe one fight they would be like, all right, well, welcome to Bellator UFC or whatever. Here's your one. Go do that, and then you have a title shot next time out.
Yeah. Expose her a little bit more to your audience, build hype a little bit more specifically, Yeah,
I mean, their packaging, their video packaging and stuff could be amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like a build up, they can really build her up.
Yeah.
The judo champion, the judo gold medalist, the undefeated fighter who's won millions of dollars beating people in seconds. I mean, like they can make her look like she's untouchable.
Yeah.
Kind of like what they did with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, and Alex says, did she? I had Mariana winning that the Gargano fight, assuming. I mean, I understood both ways. I wouldn't have been mad at either direction for that one. I think Mariana probably did do a little bit better damage, but
she did.
It was one of those fights where I didn't care too much, honestly.
Dude, I don't think that I watched it all. I think I was like on my phone and stuff. Like I wasn't really paying that much attention. But to be honest, I don't pay that much. I was telling Drake earlier, I don't really pay that much attention anyway to the PFL. It's not. I'm there for Bellator. I'm there for the UFC, obviously. I'm not there for the PFL. I'm just not into it, man. Just not into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Joseph says, to Steve, since Cyborg went to Strikeforce, she has easy fights. And Chris Cyborg's not the GOAT and overrated.
Okay. I didn't say that she was the GOAT. I said that Amanda Nunes was the GOAT. And by the way, she was probably one of the top 3 best female fighters in the world. So where are you going with this, Joseph? Respect to you, but
he just threw that one out there so much.
It's all good. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. You can call your shot or whatever, but don't expect me to keep my mouth quiet either.
Stamina hits him with the O-Lod. So this is interesting, James. James brings this up, which I got a little something about it. He says, terrible. 4th fight and fighting for $1 million while UFC champs are getting pennies. Yes, that, when you look at it that way, that is absolutely awful. Yes. But the funny thing is, too, I'm in that camp where I firmly believe, like, every fighter, even at the level of Taylor Guardado, in a perfect world, they should be getting millions, right? Like, look at the NFL and all the backups and how much they make. Just that's the first example I can go to because football guy as well. But obviously it's not a perfect world. And, if it was, though, they'd all be making millions. And think about is how much better that would make the sport, the fighters, all of that. They're doing something so dangerous. They deserve that. But yes, in this comparison, which we have in real life, that is definitely terrible. a terrible look for the UFC. Because imagine if monstrous if Taylor Grotto won, and then you could have all those people going at the UFC like, you see who just made $1 million? So
okay, so the MMA. You said the NFL, they literally give their players like 30%, 40% of the cut, while the UFC gives their fighters like 15% of the cut. It's fucking pennies compared to what major league sports like the NFL, the NBA, MLB, the NHL, all of these major sports that we know, that we call major sports. That's why the UFC, that's why MMA will never be a major sport. That's one of the biggest reasons why MMA will never be a major sport. The fighters who are actually taking part in the activity, they're not making the money that their counterparts in other sports are making. Not even close.
No. It's yeah.
They're literally making pennies on the dollar to what like Tom Brady is making.
Just look at like MLB players, man. Goodness gracious.
They make it, well, basketball. NBA players make a shit ton of money. Like their basic amount is a very good lump of money. And that's for the league minimum.
Yeah.
But also they have a union. They have unions. They have player unions. Whereas the sport of MMA, the fighters, they don't have a fucking union. The UFC's a monopoly. They run shit. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can pay their fighters however much they want. If the contracted fighters don't take fights, they cut them.
Yep. Look at what happened with Katsugano, allegedly.
After three. Yes. Yeah. After 3 fights, if they don't take a fight, they can cut them. They cut them. If they say no to 3 fights.
Yeah. So that needs to change, obviously. But until it does,
it's never going to change.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say never, but I don't see it happening. It takes a lot to build a union.
As we've seen all the failed ones in the past.
Yeah, I mean, Project Spearhead, Leslie Smith really was trying to do it. Fighters were not filling out the card, even though the UFC would never know that the fighters filled out the card.
Right.
That's the thing that really blew my mind away when I talked to Leslie Smith about it. She literally told me fighters were scared to sign the card because they don't want to lose their job, even though it was all confidential. They were never going to know who signed the fucking cards. They didn't want to sign the cards.
Yeah. It is wild. Yeah. It's the best way to put it, I guess. So.
It's a trip, man. Like, how do you get through to these fighters that they need a union? Like, what more needs to be done? What needs to be said for these fighters to just band together from promotion to promotion and unionize? Not just the UFC union. No, it's literally the MMA fight. It has to be an MMA fighters union.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the real sad thing, which I was kind of talking to a fighter actually about this the other day, where it's like, without the fighters, you got nothing. You guys literally need them. And of course, you can change in and out people, but it's built off of them. So it's just really unfortunate.
Okay, so you know what's great, though, is, we heard it from Cheyenne Bays, Jared Cannonier, now Luke Rockhold is, they're out there. Fighters are out there now talking about their pay.
Right.
So we need more of that, not this 50 G's, baby. Come on, Dana, pay me, man. That's like a bro thing to do. No, you gotta be like, look, I'm fucking poor as fuck, and maybe it'll fucking resonate with fans, and maybe the fans can fucking vocalize more, and maybe it'll eventually get through to the knuckleheads at the UFC. I don't see that happening because the UFC doesn't give a fuck, to be honest. They don't fucking care. But I like hearing Jerry Cannonier. Like, I don't want to hear that. Didn't want to hear that at all. But
it's good for him to be open.
But he put it out there, which is great, right? Like, you need to say that kind of shit. You, as a fighter, they need to say that. That's their platform. They won. Use that fucking platform.
Yep. And in the main event too. So, I mean,
right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, but unfortunate. that's
no, yeah. I mean, it sucks. Like, it sucks to hear. Okay, Jen, I know. Baze, I know. No one cares. Right. But, like, you don't want to hear any fighter, like them or not, you don't want to hear any fighter say that they're broke and that they're poor. You don't want to hear them say that. I wouldn't want to hear you guys say that. Why would we want to hear anybody in the world say that? Especially fighters who are busting their fucking asses, going through training camps like we couldn't do. Normal people cannot do that. Normal people can't do what they're doing. They're not normal people. Fighters are not normal.
And that's why they deserve all the money.
For sure.
But all right, so we're getting away from the PFL a little bit, so let's just kind of wrap this up.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about the PFL anymore.
I mean, hey, one thing led to another. It's just how it goes, you guys. But Yusuf did say Kayla's going to Bellator. UFC has no division. Let's be real. We all agree with that second part, and kind of hope for the first part. Yusuf, we'll see what happens. Sammy says 10 out of 15 of the pound for pound best in the world are straw weights. Just dropped 145 and 155. In the UFC, I agree.
We've been saying that though, Jake.
Yeah, I know. Everyone at 155 and 145 should just go to Bellator 145. They all need to be in one spot desperately. Yeah. So yeah. Ghost says, would Kayla be on the same level as my hypothetical strawweight from the past Twitter mailbag? No one's on that fighter's level, Ghost. You know this.
Yeah, that girl would hurt everybody.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter who. Joseph says, I feel like Kayla needs to be humbled. Her promo sucked. It just was. It just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense.
It
was.
Yeah, she's not the best on the mic. She needs like a Paul Heyman.
Needs Dan Lambert.
Yeah.
Who she's making fun of as well.
Right.
But, yeah, Joseph, I think we touched on this already for sure. He says, to Drake, do the UFC need to change their pay because of comments Tate made last week? Well, so yes, they need to change the pay. We pretty much went real deep into that. But because of Misha's comments, to play devil's advocate for her comments, which if you guys didn't see, she said that, she lost about 98% of her purse because of all the expenses and everything, which is absolutely ridiculous. But then she even did come out and say, it's just kind of her specifically and how all the stuff that she goes through, and
yeah, well,
she was kind of saving her ass a little bit, but
like, to be fair, I mean, not to be fair to her, but she made the choices that she made. She's the one that went from camp to camp, flew from camp to camp. She's the one that is choosing to eat only organic. Like, that's more expensive than eating normal or whatever, which is fine. That's her choice. But
you shouldn't be out of that much from doing that.
Off the top, 70% gone right away. Off the top. Like, never sees 70% of her fight purse. And then the rest of that money, which is 28%, is gone to whatever else. Leaving her, I guess, 2%. She said 98% is gone in total, which is fucking wild, of $200,000.
Former champion, all that kind of thing. She did not mention, though, if that accounted for the bonus she made in that fight. But either way, still pretty wild. Cintro says, I don't think it's possible for fighters to unionize. It's an individual sport in MMA, unlike team sports. That's a good point. And I mean, the individualism has definitely hurt it, I believe. Chuck says, Leslie Smith being the face didn't help Project Spearhead.
She had other people helping her, though. But yeah, she's not the right one.
No. Rain says, more props to the Killer Gorilla. F base. She can go throw her wild spinning shit at the regional scene and try to escape front headlocks by squirming her legs. All right. Stamina says, the billionaires bootlickers are in never-ending supply, sadly. A fountain of apologists that'll argue until they're blue in the face / fingers.
You know what blows my mind too is like when you see on Twitter or whatever, you see
people defending
defending the UFC and their ways. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, I just don't get it.
Man, I know. I told you about when I got a whole bunch of those comments when I think I said this on the show when my Sarah Alpar tweet when I didn't even really say any opinion. I only stated facts. I said that she is, a professional athlete competing for a $1 billion company, and then a lot of people came to defend the UFC in that. So, yeah, no, that always drives me insane. But all right, let's move on. Let's wrap up the PFL stuff because Alex segues us perfectly. He says Marina Makhnatina looked pretty good. And yes, she did make her I'm all confused now. PFL debut against Claudia Zamora. Supposed to be Caitlin Young. Very bummed. That was the only thing we were excited for, Steve. That was the one fight we wanted to see, and it didn't happen. For some reason, we don't know. Caitlin said she was totally fine. Came out on social media, said unforeseen reasons, but she was hanging out like with people after. So assuming not COVID, very weird. She hasn't said what the reason was yet, but assuming that Florida commission fucking let us down there for some stupid reason, maybe similar to Vanessa Porto a month ago or so. But yeah, we missed out on that. So Marina got a much easier fight against Claudia, who was fairly outsized as well, but hung in there. And yeah, I think Marina looked solid. It wasn't an amazing performance or anything, but she's really, obviously, if you look at this fight and then her last fight with Amanda Bell, been showing off her improved striking, which still has a ways to go, but she's got that sambo base, so pretty solid on the ground. Doesn't need to do too much there. Always can improve, of course, but I think she's just trying to get more comfortable on the feet, and she definitely looked pretty fine there. And Zamora, another fighter who does not belong in this weight class. So yeah, it was definitely solid, Alex.
It's just against a worse opponent.
Yes, exactly. And then he also asked, and Amanda Levy had a cool KO. I imagine we'll see her next year in the tournament. The submission, actually, right? Because, she almost got knocked out. She got dropped twice in like 5 seconds. That was actually a very fun fight. Very crazy. Barber looked like she had her hurt. She survived, got her down, and choked her out. That was a little bit of a quick comeback. She that was a very solid debut. That was her pro debut. And again, the fact that, these fighters who have such little experience should not be grouped into a tournament, with like Kayla Harrison and stuff, because presumably they'll go on to do that. And backtracking to Marina's fight, this annoyed me a little bit, but I don't know if they're just trying to be secretive and I'm going to reveal secrets here, but they were saying like, oh, Marina Makhnatina versus Claudia Zamora, winner trying to fight for that position in the PFL tournament next season. Well, I know, and I feel like it was public knowledge, at least those who were paying attention, Marina she signed to be in next year's tournament. She's just fighting now. Of course, if she lost, I'm sure they could have changed that, whatever, but this was kind of, we already knew how this was going.
Banking on maybe a Zamora win and then throwing her in there.
Yeah, who knows, but just a little silly. But Levy, that was fun, very fun performance. Good survivability and killer instinct there. From both of them, but of course, Barber choked literally. So, and Jin asked Ghost what he thought of Marina's performance, and we got to put up Ghost comment because it's Ghost, and he says, "I'm not going to answer that. Not going to offend people in the chat." Fair enough.
I guess he didn't like it.
Yes, he
like
wasn't
Chuck.
fond.
Chuck thought that she was lumbering and slow. Lightweight is not her ideal weight class. She was just more experienced than Zamora, who came in lighter and way faster.
Fair. Yeah, that was also her first time at lightweight. Got to remember that. But that's just the problem with it. So Stamina says they signed the contract, did they not? They could always go somewhere else. Clown face.
True. They could, right? You would think that they could.
And they love Ghost Phantom's response. Which, yeah, Ghost Phantom that's what we look for out of him. Appreciated. But all right. Wow, Steve. We went all over the place for 50 minutes of kind of PFL chat. Got into fighter pay, which that always triggers us, doesn't it? So, and featherweight talk. This had a combination of things that we're just going to drag on. So we apologize, guys. We know you don't care about PFL, but we're just riffing.
Neither do I, to be honest. Drake cares a little bit more than I do.
Just for, those who do care, I like to provide. But anyway, let's get to something that we did not expect. UFC Vegas 35
was amazing, though. Holy shit.
So tell us what happened, Steve. Bantamweight action.
Yeah, so Josiane Nunes beat Bayam Malecki first round. Fucking little haymakers from the tiny one. Holy shit. She was fierce and fucking just coming in, and
she heard us talk about Mark Hunt and Struve.
Yeah, and ended up clipping Bayam Malecki with a hard ass left that sent the towering girl down. It was like a David versus Goliath type of fight. Nunes is tiny, man, compared to the lengthy, long Bayam Malecki.
Yeah, I know this fight, it looked, and we knew it was going to look ridiculous because they looked like different weight classes.
It was so bad. Like, it was bad.
And first of all, before we continue, James says, big props to you guys as a show for covering topics you don't care about. So that's the dedication and commitment we have to the women of this sport. But Ghost says, Nunes has clearly been reading Sun Tzu, which states that the highest levels of fighting is not deceptive tactics. I know Ghost was not too thrilled about that performance. And I did see definitely some, we went back and forth a little bit about it. Some jumping the gun. But yes, this was a great debut for Nunes, obviously.
It was awesome.
Absolutely relentless pressure. I saw you tweet, Steve. Is that Andrade in there? Yeah, definitely very similar performance.
Was it Jessica Andrade? Holy fuck, dude!
It was pretty much just the pressure kind of overwhelmed Malecki, and I think that she was using her length with the kicks. Well, did not really get the jab out there to keep her away, but she was doing some nice teeps, push kicks, keeping her off at times, but she just kept on coming. And I felt like if this fight would have made it out of this first round, which there were 6 seconds left, Steve, as you could see on the ticker there, I feel like I was very curious to see if she'd be able to keep that up. Like, it's,
dude, honestly, I think that she could have. I mean, Malecki was letting her, so
yeah,
I don't see any other way of this fight going.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that she didn't try to get it down either, which she tried like once in the midst of one of those flurries, but that was just a complete overwhelming. And yeah, props to her, a great knockout.
I was gonna touch on this, but Jimmy did. This was some of the funniest shit I've seen in a while. How bad is Bea's fight IQ? Dude, it's terrible. It's very, very bad.
Yeah, it was not great here. And I mean, it's never been a strong point of hers. And again, as I did say last week, she is still early into her career. But no, this was this did not help any thoughts about that for her.
Dude,
Yeah.
Nunes literally looked like a midget. I know that's not like, I hope none of you are midgets.
Why not? What if they are?
I mean, holy shit! Like, dude, look at she was super tiny, and it was like little Mac against Bald Bull.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Punch Out. Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He was like jumping.
Yes. Bea has obviously some more growing and learning to do in the sport. And that's kind of my problem with the reactions to this, which you're kind of always going to get when somebody gets a knockout like this and a performance like this. But like, I saw some mentions of like, okay, Nunes versus Avila next or Hossa. I'm like, whoa. Look at who she just beat, though. Look back at the Kayla Harrison stuff. We were saying, like, yeah, that was a very good performance and it exposed her to plenty of new people. Barely anyone knew who she was, but like, slow down before you throw her in with those monsters. Like, Jesus, man. I know it's bantamweight, but whoa.
Go fight the other Nunes. Fuck it. This was amazing. Go fight the champ Nunes.
Yeah, not quite.
Maybe they should put Andrade and Nunes against each other.
Yeah, there you go. Why not?
Two midget bantamweights fighting each other.
Oh man. I'm sure it'd be fun while it lasts, but I would not pick Nunes in that, obviously. Joseph says, Bea Malecki looked like a 145er. She used to be. And Nunes was like a 105er. I mean, she's thick, but short, yes. Stamina says, Bea has next to no fights. This is true. Mr. Lee says, there was something wrong with Malecki. She had absolutely no energy. That was, that she did kind of seem like, I mean, in the past, her few fights, I feel like she has definitely come out at least a bit stronger than that. And of course, she hasn't been very active in her career, so I think that's been a problem. And I said that last week, where I hope that no matter what happens here, she tries to fight a little bit more. But yeah, and she did a post after the fight too, and said she's okay and everything, which is good. Not how she expected the fight to go, all that kind of thing, but yeah. Rain says the fight was so fun because I couldn't stop laughing how bad these two. Man, okay, so we have Alvin, Mr. Positivity, and Rain just lets it off. Lets the shit fly. Which, hey, it is what it is. Stamina says, Steve failing spectacularly at being politically correct here. Yes, he is. He absolutely is. But he doesn't care. So.
I don't fucking give a fuck.
Sammy says, Bea looked like she was in 2 weight classes above. Hilarious. I mean, I don't know if Nunes has fought at flyweight before, but I wouldn't be surprised with that height. I don't know. But Malecki also somebody who, if they would have tried to build that 145 division, she should have stayed there. Ghost says, forget the intricate details that go on in a fighting and techniques. Nunes is the future of the
That's
women.
Right.
My goodness. And Chuck says regional level fight. Ouch. Ouch. Well, it happened, you guys. And there's our man. Alvin says incredible performance by Nunes. Hopefully Malecki is going to be okay. Yes. I agree, Alvin. I agree. She was in good spirits. Like I said, I don't know what she posted that a 19-second video on, but she did a little video and said she's okay and all that. So Alvin, the
just wasn't expecting a midget to knock her out like that.
I don't think any of us were, honestly. But so yeah, that was UFC Vegas 35, you guys. Unfortunately, just one fight, and at least we got a highlight out of it. I mean, this card, Steve, started off on fire. Holy shit, the knockout of the year, maybe, with what was his name? Bahamondes?
The head kick to Roosevelt Roberts.
Yes, my goodness. So yeah, good fun start overall, but unfortunately that was our only fight of the past weekend. And again, we only have one to preview at the end here, so we got a bunch of stuff to get into now, you guys. Before that, Stamina says we're never far away from a Brazilian slugger to satisfy our basic bloodlust. Very, very true. Sammy says, can't be in good spirits if you can't doge something you've seen over and over. And I had to say it like that.
Doge.
I'm sorry. Doge. Dogecoin. All right, you guys. Well, going from that, I'm sure you're going to love that it's now Fan of Punch breakdown time. Episode number 6. Going to take a deep dive into the striking of Sabina Mazo, the Colombian queen, all for Steve. I don't know if that's true, but Ghost Phantom, I'm sure he knows.
For me.
So I actually this time didn't get to watch this one beforehand. Steve saw it already. He said it's good, and I know it's going to be good. So that's why I was like, I won't make time too much for it. Busy weekend always and everything. But yes, Fan of Punch breakdown number 6. Oh boy, shaking it up. We go from a serious throwback to a prospect on the rise. Megumi to Sabina Mazo. Here we go. Yes, to go from that to this, my man. Yeah, I think that's a great transition, actually, because it's like
I think it's a good one.
There we go. Yeah,
you should be happy that we're going into your thing after that fuckery that we just talked about.
So, without further ado, everybody, let's get rolling, as one Burt Watson would say. Full screen, right there. Steve, you manage the comments as I do my thing. All right. Sabina Mazo, striking breakdown. Mazo understands how to post during her opponent's blitzes. All right, let's make sure. Still feeling out these timings, you guys. But here we are. Full speed against, it's not Tanisha Tennant, but it looked like it. Even though Mazo's opponent lands the right hand, Mazo mitigates the damage by posting her arm early while her opponent is sprinting into range. And the post in MMA is a great tool because of the small gloves. The post allows you to get behind your own shoulders and elbow, giving you safer options to exit. 1, enter the clinch. 2, angle out in the same direction of the hand being posted. Mazo decides to post her right hand on the opponent's lead shoulder. Mazo also preps her left arm for offense. Now she has options to throw elbows or knees. The direction of an opponent's hips is also the same direction of where their offense is going. Mazo's hips are facing towards her opponent. On the other hand, her opponent's hips are facing the fence. Right away, Mazo resets her stance while her opponent is off balance on the exit. This reset allows Mazo to initiate her offense in any direction more quickly than her opponent. Slow-mo. Mazo likes to use frames to exit exchanges and shut down an advancing opponent. Jeez, I'm struggling today. Mazo creates a frame on her opponent's collarbone as a preemptive measure to stop the clinch entry. That 90-degree going, Steve.
Yeah, it's fucking beautiful.
Mazo now has her hands framed on her opponent's right arm, shutting down any offense from that side. Note the opponent cannot throw the overhand because of the squared up stance. Yep, looks for, but no good. Mazo's opponent now tries. That was very fast. Mazo's opponent now tries to advance by stepping into orthodox, but Mazo is able to prevent her opponent from advancing by sticking a jab that's not meant to land.
She's also got length.
Yes.
On most of her opponents, so that helps.
Yeah, I don't think she's been in a fight where she's been on the shorter side yet. Not that I can think of anyway. The secret to knees in the MMA clinch is to separate your hips from your opponent's hips. The frames that Mazo establishes prevents her opponent from landing a clean knee. Just look how close that knee comes to Mazo's body. I mean, it practically was there. Mazo creates space by backing. Well, Mazo creates space by backing her hips back while maintaining frames to set up her knees. Yep, right there.
Boom.
Oh wow, she does just barely. That was like as close as it could be.
Very close, but she, like Ghost said, she did enough to keep it away.
Indeed. Mazo uses timing to attack while the opponent's position is weakened. Mazo's feet are set, ready to push off her back foot to fire off the jab while her opponent is readjusting to the new range. To exit, Mazo shifts her weight to her back foot in order to pull back, all while staying defensively responsible. Love that verbiage there. That was a nice jab.
Yep. Clean.
Here is another example of Mazo firing off her jab while her opponent is readjusting to the new range. Attacking while your opponent is readjusting their stance takes timing and great vision. One way to fire off the inside low kick is to fire it off to when the opponent's trying to exit and after an attack. Inside low kicks, a ghost signature.
Of course it is.
Look at that. Mazo's opponent's position is weak since she's trying to recover from throwing the rear teep. She's also in the range of Mazo's lead leg, but doesn't know it because the distance seems far. Take note of the position of Mazo's leg.
I love how Ghost draws like the stick on the leg,
right?
Like the skull.
Yes. Mazo covers a huge amount of ground with her pendulum step and closes the distance on her opponent's weakened position. The opponent is in a square stance. The old pendulum step there. Mazo hits the inside low kick on the leg that's moving, forcing her opponent to lift it up and try to reestablish a stance.
Those inside low kicks are fucking brutal, man.
Oh, yeah. Landing square is a fundamental aspect of lead leg kicks for 3 reasons. 1, landing square maintains a distance where Mazo can see any incoming attacks. 2, reloads the lead leg to fire off another kick if the opponent stays in the same spot. 3, reestablish a balanced fighting stance if the opponent decides to disengage. Bop. Bop, bop. Mazo does a great job of countering low kicks with her lead leg. Always staying active there. Mazo sees the outside low kick and immediately retracts her lead leg. She's in a square stance, which gives her balance to load her lead leg while her opponent is in a side on stance on one leg. Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Opponent is completely out of position by giving her back, while Mazo is in perfect position to fire off an outside lead leg kick.
That was such a bad position, though.
Oh, yeah. Make them miss, make them pay. Mazo used the hip swivel to reestablish her stance and her balance. Her opponent, on the other hand, is still out of position. Uh-oh.
Yeah, she was out. She was hurting.
Boom. This might seem easy, but kicking while moving backwards is an extremely difficult movement. Try it yourselves. Jump backwards and try to kick with your lead leg.
Don't do it, guys.
It's hard with knees as well. Here's an example of using the same lead leg counter, but this time off of a lazy front kick attempt from her opponent. Same technique, but different look from her opponent. Don't try this at home, says Steve.
No, don't. I don't care what Ghost says.
Yeah,
or doing fall on your ass.
Yeah. When in an open stance, rear kicks and punches become available to both fighters, but it becomes a huge advantage when one fighter realizes the open stance situation. Ooh. Let's sneak it over. Opponent throws out a rear straight and steps outside to take an angle to exit, but what she doesn't realize is that they are in an open stance. Southpaw versus orthodox. In open stance, the rear body kick and the rear high kick are available for both fighters, but Mazo in this situation, only Mazo. But in this situation, only Mazo understands the dynamics of the stance they are in. Mazo steps inside the path of her opponent's exit to line up the rear high kick. Take note how the opponent thinks she's out of range because her initial exit in the lean back. Mazo lands his high kick while her opponent is shifting back to orthodox. Mazo is taking note of her opponent's habit of leaning back after exiting to the right. Slap. Mazo lands in southpaw to regain her balance. She then shifts back to orthodox when completely out of range. Nice and safe. And here we go again. The little details. In this clip, the opponent lazily enters clinch/punching range and exits as a southpaw. Mazo used the same idea, rear high kick from open stance from the previous sequence. Oh, and there it is. Death. That was so beautiful, dude. I haven't seen that knockout in a while.
Yeah. Later out.
Oh, absolute murder. Another example of Mazo using the high kick to take advantage of open stance dynamics. Only difference is her opponent is southpaw and decided to lean her head towards Mazo's rear leg. Same exact thing happened in Mazo versus Quiche. Look for the head lean to the left by Mazo's opponent. Yep, right there. And oosh.
And another one. Bites the dust.
And another one. And another one. Those were back to back, right?
Yep.
Sabina Mazo was a very slick counter striker with great vision, distance control, and timing to exploit the weaknesses in any given position on the feet. However, she does not throw out that many feints to draw her opponent's reactions, which is strange because she is a counter striker. But that's not her fault. There are many MMA fighters at the top levels of their division that don't use feints. How much more dangerous would she be if she added more feints to her striking, Steve?
Yeah. I mean, I'm high on her. I've always been high on Sabina Mazo. She's one of my favorite female fighters out there. If she added a little bit better striking, awareness, the feints that Ghost is talking about, next level, man.
Yeah. Definitely don't think it would hurt. And I'm sure that over time she will continue to adapt these things. Yes, still very young. She's around 23-ish, right? 24, 23?
24.
Yeah, so still plenty of time to work on that and add those things to her game. A good base, counter heavy attack to have right now, I think. Obviously, Ghost, you can see that yourself, as can everyone else now. But I think just over time she'll continue to incorporate these things because it's another one of those things also where until you don't need to, maybe you won't so much, but we'll see. She still has plenty of time. So, I mean, Steve and I have talked about it before. I think she'll only continue to get better, and her potential she can be top 10 easily. Some may even say champion, where we'll see where it takes us. But
it's kind of just moving slowly, I think, is the issue. It's maybe it's not even an issue. I think it's just something that we're not used to seeing from the UFC in the UFC. Sabina Mazo is kind of building up, taking it a little bit slow, and slow and low can win you that belt, though.
Yep. No doubt. And I'm loving the reactions that we're getting in here because it seems like some of y'all didn't see that before. But
amazing that you guys didn't watch Sabina Mazo in LFA. Those were great fights.
Oh,
she was. I mean, that's why I'm a fan. It's literally why I'm a fan. Those shit like that.
So before we started, Stamina did say Mazo striking. Okay, this should be interesting. James. Oh, love Mazo. Jimmy, I don't know about Mazo. Need to see more from her. Jin says Sabina Mazo, this should be interesting. Stamina says Luke Thomas is forever championing those fighters that can hit their opponent on the half beat. James says, what a head kick, all capitals. Sammy, oh my goodness. I can't believe Like all of you guys haven't seen this.
I love it.
OMG, what did I just see? Says Jin. Sintro, what the fuck? Incredible head kick. Jimmy, oh shit. James, holy shit. James,
I'm kind of
another one.
disappointed. Like honestly,
I'm surprised.
I'm a little bit disappointed in you guys.
I know.
Just a little bit.
Very surprising. Alvin says, another great breakdown, Mr. Phantom. Love Ms. Mazzo. Yes, that was exceptional indeed. Stamina says, okay, I've never felt like Sabina was nearly as deliberate in what she does than the video has alerted me to. The jury was always out on her for me. Food for thought. There you go. That's what you love to hear. Convincing Stamina of a little something.
That's what these breakdowns from Ghost do. No, I love it.
Ghost says, man, you guys don't watch LFA. Clearly,
I'm disappointed, Ghost. I'm like, honestly, I'm not disappointed in you at all. I loved that you did Sabina Mazo. As I told you, I was really hyped for it, Ghost. I loved it. But the reactions, I'm kind of fucking shocked.
I'm also more shocked, I suppose, that the UFC, I'm assuming in that case, has not used that footage to, kind of highlight her. I would think they'd be able to use it, but
You would think that they'd be able to.
If no one's seen it, Ghost says, I feel like the best opponent for her would be someone that comes forward to enhance her countering. Yeah, that definitely would not hurt at all. And Alex says, I want the next breakdown to be a Marina Maknatkina. Maybe some old Sambo footage.
Yeah, nothing in MMA.
Let's not go that far. Marina's great. I enjoyed talking to her thoroughly. She's a nice lady. But, jury's out, I guess. But yes, Phantom Punch breakdown number 6. Good as always. A good shakeup there after we go from some straight up legends, champion caliber fighters to one on the rise. And we can kind of see where she goes from here now after, what she can add to the game and all that. So it kind of makes it fun. I like that you did this kind of person, Ghost.
Maybe we should do more of the ones where people are not aware of what
they got surprised this time.
I know. I loved it. Like I was shocked by it. Not gonna lie.
No, that was funny. But spoiler alert, you guys. I don't know. Let me see which episode it will be. This was 6, 7, 8, 9. Phantom Punch breakdown number 9 will be Emi Fujino. Ghost gave us the spoiler on Twitter when there was some Ryzen tweet that happened this past weekend, and I think I retweeted it, and then he commented that he will be doing Emi Fujino for the weekend of Ryzen 30. So look forward to that one. It'll be fun, get you nice and extra hyped for that rematch between her and Ayaka. Or we already have 2 Ayaka breakdowns, which are never bad to go and revisit. So there you go. Spoiler alert for episode 9, the Phantom Punch breakdown. But all right, that is that. As we move in now to the good old Twitter mailbag. And Ghost, reiterating Emu Fujino the week before the fight. So 9/13 it will be. Cannot wait. The old Kamikaze Angel. Special. Yep. Yeah, whole special there. So Twitter mailbag time. As I said, and this is really kind of hilarious and fitting that the first question for the mailbag today will be circling back to all the fucking featherweight nonsense we already talked about, but it is a different question. So our man, Friendly Sparring Podcast, who was in here earlier, Steve, read it off for me.
Who do y'all think is the number 1 contender for the women's featherweight belt in the UFC?
So, I mean, it's Norma if she wins against Holly, but other than that, there isn't one. That's pretty much it. And I still don't really like the direction all that is going, as is for Norma specifically in her career. She's getting really kind of pushed all around. Shafted. Yeah. Assuming you checked out the interview, Steve? Yeah.
I did.
Not great.
This doesn't seem happy, man.
No.
Like she's not happy. It doesn't seem she's happy.
Frustrating spot to be in.
Yeah.
So, but
she's not really saying anything terrible. Obviously, she's not going to say anything terrible, but you can kind of tell with the tone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even I think it was right after the Spencer fight. I think she said she never wants to do that again. Kind of. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was like, choosing her health, her career over her health is what she's being forced to do, which is scary.
Poor thing.
So, not great. But hey, I mean, I guess the best case in that regard would be to beat Holly, and then you get to stay at featherweight, not have to worry about flip flopping. But it's so dumb to even be in that spot in the first place. Let's not get into that. But Juice, that's pretty much it. Stamina says GDR. Next question. Chuck says number one featherweight contender equals whoever puts two wins together, pretty much as well. James is the one that's fighting.
It doesn't even have to be 2 wins. It could be just one.
They're going to give it to Danielle Wolf just because. Which could you imagine? Oh God, don't get me started. All right. So I think just Yusuf in here. We got a comment from Turbo McGee, which I guess we could read it. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Turbo, for checking things out always.
I thought the Brazilian Nunes 135-pounder knocking out the Swedish Bay McMillian, unsure of the name, or whatever was crazy. So he's Malaki getting knocked out by Nunes was crazy. Good stoppage too. She dropped like a sack of taters. Those free ESPN cards are awesome for me because I don't pay for ESPN Plus.
There we go.
I love it.
Dude, I think that now we should from here on out always address Bay Maleki as Bay McMillian.
McMillian.
But it's Bay, he said, Bay. not even Bay.
Yeah, McMillian.
And I like also that he said the Brazilian Nunes.
Nunes is also Brazilian. When they're both Brazilian, they're literally both Brazilian.
This might be my favorite submission in the mailbag, even though it's not a question. I guess that's all that you need to say about that fight after what we already talked about.
I love it.
Thank you, Turbo. He has been a firm supporter of us for a good while now, and I don't know if he tunes in too much, but I know he follows our stuff. So thank you, man. If you do check this out, that was funny. I appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate it.
All right, now Yusuf time, you guys. I completely forgot to make a button this week, but we'll get to it. We'll get to the shenanigans or legit question, a steal of approval. But Yusuf coming up right now, just so get ready, get your thoughts ready. And Stamina, that's a great point. He says it's the Brazilian Nunes for me. Yes, we'll call her that now as well. Josiane Nunes. But all right, I think we got 2 parts here from Stamina, so we'll start off with this one.
What is the difference between wrestling and grappling?
Well, I feel like this is also a repeat or something we've touched on recently, but grappling is every type of martial art that involves, grappling, right? That's the best way to say it. Submissions or positions.
Submissions. Grappling is submission, positions. Whereas wrestling is not submission. It's point-based and takedown based.
Positional. Because wrestling, this is how I think of it. Wrestling is a form of grappling. Is that fair to say? Because when I think of grappling, I think of
wrestling is a form of grappling for sure.
Okay, yeah, because
it's a form of grappling, but it's not. It just isn't submission based. You go in for a takedown and you pin them to get points.
Right. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of just how I felt about it too. But okay, that's what I was, Ghost. He said he answered this in the YouTube whatever episode that was where he didn't show up. And Ghost gave him the answer. So, that's what I thought. But that's how you look at it, Yusuf. And yes, how is effective grappling scored? So, Steve, why don't you tell him how wrestling is scored first, and then I guess we can say MMA, because I'm not sure if he's asking for either or of those.
No, he literally said how is effective grappling scored, but I can say how wrestling is scored. You go for a takedown, you get a takedown, it's a point. You pin, it's 2 points. You get him out of the circle, it's 3 points, and so on and so on. And you can keep scoring points as you roll, as you don't let the opponent up. It can go up to fucking 10 points. Literally keeps going as the wrestling is going fluidly on the mat.
Yeah,
But once there's a break, that's where you start. That's where you go 7-0, and then you start the grapple again.
And the pin is shoulders down, Yusuf, just in case you were unaware, which some people might be. So
pin is shoulders down.
Shoulders down. So no matter the position, right? It's just as long as it's shoulders down for 3.
So if you're belly to back, you have to turn them around in order to and pin them to get a point.
Right. Okay. Ghost says the BJJ scoring criteria in ADCC is a mess. It's complicated.
Incredibly difficult to learn. I'm not a BJJ player. I don't do BJJ. I've never have. I learned on my own, and it's really hard. But I also learned by asking questions to people who do know jiu-jitsu a lot better than me. So that's how I've learned. But yeah, ADCC is incredibly hard to learn, like how they come to the points.
Yeah, which is unfortunate when it's like the
biggest
top tier. Yeah,
it's literally the biggest. It's ADCC is literally the biggest grappling event that there is.
Right. But Yusuf, as for how is effective grappling scored in MMA, well, when you look at with the new rules, which we are working with in practically every state now these days in America, not Texas though, it's when you change the position in a impactful or dominant fashion. So let's say you hit a takedown. Let's say you just get a blast double, get them right on their back, right into, let's just go right into mount, or not into mount, into guard. And then you end up holding that position for a good amount of time while also doing some damage and transitioning. That's a big part of effective grappling too, because you're able to, maneuver while still keeping somebody on their back and, dominating essentially in the grappling specifically, where your opponent is, the whole point of grappling, right, is to prevent your opponent from being offensive, right? It's neutralizing. So if you can do that, that is effective grappling. If you can't, and there's a lot of scrambles, all that kind of thing, and it's competitive on the ground or they're doing damage to you, not so effective. It's not just about being on top, as we've seen over the years many, many times. So I think that's a good way to look at it. Steve, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. And then he says, can you explain to me the term crisp strikes? What does the term crisp mean? And Sammy says, crisp strikes?
Just means clean. It just means clean, man. Just a clean jab or a clean left hook or whatever.
Think about, here's how you can think about it, Yusuf. Go look at the striking of Leonard Garcia. Pick any fight. Doesn't matter. Pick any fight. And then go watch an Adesanya fight. Leonard Garcia is the opposite of crisp striking, whereas Adesanya is very crisp and fluid with his, it's a technique thing, right, Yusuf? So
yeah,
you can tell the difference. I think that's the best way to leave it, is just go look at those examples. Go watch a street fight even. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing as the Leonard Garcia fight, but there you go.
Leonard Garcia, man, that guy was super fun to watch though. Holy shit.
I know.
That's a damn throwback, man.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him live a couple of times. He puts on a fucking fight, man.
Oh, yes.
Win or lose. Holy shit. That guy.
Yeah, that he did. So the old bad boy. But Stamina says, yes, Sammy, you find it in the shenanigans aisle at the store. So there you go from Stamina. And yeah, so that is the first bit from Yusuf.
Mods, mute Joseph.
He comes in after that to drop in the comments. But all right, moving on to Yusuf, starting things off with, or I mean, not starting things off, closing it out with Whaley talk, which of course always got to get some Whaley talk in.
Both of you lean Whaley, Dewey, in a rematch versus Rose. Drake said the loss will make Whaley better. Factors to consider being objective. Be objective, Drake. First time being knocked out. Round 1, bell rings, nerves of deja vu. It's like deja vu all over again. Hasn't really lost in MMA, so she could think of it as a fluke instead of her losing.
I mean, I'm sure that many fighters have done that, of course, but
be objective.
I know. I feel like I've been pretty objective about all of this. I mean, of course, there's sure some bias and all that, but when you just think about if you look at, let's say, the Joanna fight, for example, here, Yusuf, or just any, not like Whaley has not been hit hard before in the past. This was just, the first time she's got knocked out in front of us. Who knows? Maybe she's been knocked out in sparring, practice, whatever. That's happened to people before. Of course, not as impactful as a fight like this or whatever, but for her to not be deterred in the past, and I know it's a little different. I just don't. We haven't seen any reason yet to believe that. Sure, that is definitely possible. She's not going to want it to happen again. She could be more cautious. Who knows? That's very possible. That's maybe likely. I don't know, but we haven't seen it yet. So it's like, it's hard to judge. And I feel like I say that every time, actually, now that we talk about this rematch, but I don't know, man. It's a tricky thing. That's a good thing to bring up. That's totally fair. She did lose though to Megbo.
So the people in the chat, everybody in the chat, saying that we've already talked about this.
I'm sure we have.
James said, we talked about this 2 weeks ago when you asked about Whaley's health after getting knocked out and going toe-to-toe against Joanna. Jimmy said, I think you asked this 2 weeks ago, where Yusuf asked about Whaley and Carolina in the same sentence. Jin says, we talk about this every week. Stamina says, oh Christ, another Whaley hypothetical. Full-blown shenanigans on this one. Sorry, not sorry. Ghost has a suggestion. Yusuf.
That's to everybody, yes, who hasn't seen that.
Yusuf, go watch the full hour interview with Whaley and make your assumption there. Jin, again, I hate bringing her up because of dumbass journalists and trolls making stuff up about her.
Yeah, you guys are all very fair with, I feel like Whaley is a weekly topic in some facet, which, I mean, I feel like we have fairly constructive things to say, but it is getting repetitive, obviously, as you guys are pointing out. So apologies there. Maybe I'll try to read the shenanigans beforehand from now on, because just because, it is getting to be a little bit more of the same. Like, I don't know. Until
where are the true and false questions, Yusuf? Give us the true and false questions next week.
Yeah. So I'll just wait and see. But yeah. Agree with Jen though. A lot of dumb stuff lately, and that's why I'm glad that Yusuf that Ghost mentioned the watch the full fucking thing, because my goodness, it is frustrating to see some things get carried to where they've gotten carried to. But that's something that we don't need to get into because it's frustrating. So, all right. That's the mailbag for the week, you guys. Thanks to all who submitted as per usual. Shenanigans are not. Still enjoy the interaction. So, without further ado, we have a pretty healthy amount of news this week, Steve. We've been kind of light on it recently. But again, kicking things off with a head scratcher and 145 nonsense. A little bit here. Tell me how do you feel about this one, Steve? Just let's talk about this.
Okay. So Leah McCourt will take on Jessica Borga in London on October 1st, and this will be the co-main event of the night. It's weird, like it's not really a great fight. They're
It's
obviously
stupid.
they're obviously building up McCourt, and yeah, McCourt and Borga is, I guess, a decent fighter, but why is this a co-main event too?
Well, Jessica Borga just got thoroughly beat by Talita Nogueira, Steve. You remember this, right? That was
Yeah,
around the same time as Leah
I mean,
McCourt.
McCourt should
Had,
be fighting like a Talita Nogueira.
yes, Jessica Borga is not ranked. Leah McCourt is number 5, which is what it is, I guess. But she just, had that comeback win against Janae Harding. But Janae's ranked, right? And
Yeah,
McCourt is on a winning streak, and this fight is terrible matchmaking. It just doesn't. It's kind of like you said, continuing to build, I guess, and maybe Bellator got a little bit scared after she didn't do so well against Janae. Got kind of lucky there.
She kind of pulled it off, pulled something out of her ass against Janae Harding, and I think that they see that, and they kind of want to keep McCourt, going the right way rather than the wrong way.
Right, but it's just like it's funny to me though when they do put her on this card with MVP, which of course they should do, London, all that, but like get into similar circumstances here with Leah, where you're, not that Jessica Borga is a complete pushover like some of the people that MVP got lined up with on his run, and he's got his work cut out for him against Douglas Lima once again, who fucking sent him to the shadow realm. Yep. But this matchup is silly to me. But hey, what's she gonna do? Alvin says, Mr. Phantom, I saw the Zhang interview. I gotta say, it was very refreshing for a fighter to say she's starting over like her early days. Very humble and hardworking. Gotta love it, Alvin. Gotta love it. He knows what's up. That's the thing. Context is a dying art these days, which it's not even should be. So,
dude, people just
no context
totally take things out and just misuse quotes and misuse phrasing. It's just wild, man. Like purposely. It's not even done on accident anymore.
It's even funny too, like, I'm not gonna name names necessarily, but even after I tried to do, a pretty good job for a news article about that documentary when it first came out, the first part of it, where she kind of really hit on a lot of stuff after that and everything. I think it was about maybe 500 to 700 words. I don't remember exactly, but got a good chunk of the quotes in there so that people could see everything rather than just taking out the Chris Weidman thing, which I didn't even quote. I mentioned it in my article, but I didn't even use that quote because that shouldn't even have been an important quote. But people, you know how it goes. So that really annoyed me. What was that, like last week? Seeing that kind of happen, but
yeah,
I guess you don't want to read my stuff. I don't know. So that's fun. Yep, I agree with you, Sammy. I'm not going to put it on screen though. So, moving on.
I agree, Sammy, as well.
All right, this was probably my favorite news of the week, Steve, because I did not see this coming at all. This is going to be very exciting. This has, I believe, some implications for the future, but we have some shakeups here.
Yeah, newly crowned Deep Jewel Strawweight champion Seika Izawa drops to face Siwoo Park at Deep 104 on October 23rd. I was really surprised to see this, to be honest.
Yeah, no, this is like we just got that awesome Deep Jewels 33 event, which had the combination of, it was all about the atomweight tournament, and then Sayaka having her rematch and getting the title. Those were the big moments.
Yeah.
Park obviously got upset in her rematch with Siri Oshima, and now they're fighting each other on Big Deep, Steve. It's not even Deep Jewels. And that's Super Atomweight, which, how interesting. That happens to be a division for Ryzen. This clearly, to me, has the signs of bring them both in, first of all, but the winner is definitely going to Ryzen. Maybe not next, but soon. And seeing the fact that, testing out the waters for Sayaka to see if she can get down to 108 safely, which I'm sure she should be able to. She's not like a huge strawweight. It seems pretty good fit for strawweight, but not like super muscular or anything. I think it shouldn't be too much of a struggle for her. We'll see. Right? And then Siwoo Park. She had no trouble going up 3 pounds, obviously. Will be the best striker that Sayaka has fought so far, so it's going to be a great test for both of them. And Sayaka, obviously a phenom, I think, and a serious grappler. So on paper, striker versus grappler, but two names who have a lot of potential still. Park, despite the loss, can go very far. I am very excited for this, and it sucks that one of them has to lose, though. That's the big bummer about this. But it's very cool. This is on Big Deep. The implications, I'm not saying I know anything necessarily. I'm definitely not saying that. But, hey, I mean, the 108 thing, because it's like, well, what else could that be for? It's like this is a little bit of a Ryzen not spectacular, but tryout maybe. Even though I think they should both be signed, and Oshima will be on her way as well. But she's got 2 belts.
Would you be surprised if they weren't both signed? I would be kind of surprised.
No, yeah, they deserve it, especially at this point now, where with Ryzen's atomweights, they're kind of getting to that point of having all fought each other. We were talking about who's Ayaka going to fight next, and then they end up pulling out the crazy 8-year rematch with Fujino. So like, still making things work, but like, I got to bring in the new blood, and especially talents like Izawa, Park, and Oshima, who all three, I guarantee at some point, if they want to, they will fight in Ryzen at some point, especially Sayaka and Oshima. So yeah, this fight is very intriguing to me, and it's going to be good because Izawa is just a relentless killer with her grappling and the aggression she puts in, and then Park can knock you out cold for that size, which is crazy. If you've seen that Aono knockout. So yeah, looking forward. I did not see this coming at all, but and then we were just talking last week about Sayaka is going to be in the grappling tag team match, right? So it's like, look at her staying busy.
Jimmy said we were just talking about Zawa last week.
Oh, she is awesome, man. I really want to talk to her at some point.
Ghost is talking about doing a potential Phantom Punch breakdown.
There we go, man. There we go.
Her kick entry to double leg, I like it very much.
Yeah, she is a very bright young talent.
How would Oshima versus Izawa go striking match? Because they are both grapplers.
I don't know about that, Jin. I mean,
they would go to the ground.
Yeah,
right?
they're both so aggressive with their grappling, and both have killer instincts that are like. That would be such a fun grappling match. If they canceled out, I would be stunned in that one, Jin, because when you just watch both of them, it's like they're not the same fighter by any means, but their approaches are pretty similar. So
it's true.
Yeah, but I think that the size might be a problem there for Oshima in that one. But,
right.
Yeah. So.
And Synchro giving us very nice compliment. What other channel talks about all things WMMA, has an awesome Twitter mailbag, and an anonymous expert breaking down fighters' techniques to the microscopic level? Nobody.
I don't know.
Literally fucking nobody. I
feel pretty comfortable.
I'm not bullshitting when I send out my tweets saying that our show is like no other and our chat is the best in MMA podcasts. Literally not bullshitting when I say that. That's how I feel.
Yep, could not agree more. You guys are the best, and yeah, we try, man. We try our best here, and all right, Jimmy, I see your comment. I appreciate that greatly, man. I won't put it on the screen just because we're trying to move along, but yes, yes, I appreciate it very much, man. Your support means the world. And Go says he's not an expert, and yes, he does put that in his disclaimer for all the.
I don't know, Ghost.
Let the people decide, buddy. But I'm very excited to see that potential Izawa breakdown, though, because I'm just excited to see her back in action coming up soon for both of those, the tag team match and that fight. So the surprise news of the week, I think that's fair to say right there. But we still have more. So moving on to somebody who's been asking for a fight. They're getting a fight now, even though they did just fight and didn't take any damage whatsoever. But here we are, Steve, with this one.
Yeah, Amanda Limos versus Nina Nunes. I can't get past saying that. On December 18th. This is a fantastic fight, I think. Man, Limos has that power, though, that knockout power. I thinking that Nina gets slapped, man.
I mean, yeah, if anybody's gonna do that, it'd be her and Marina Rodriguez, I guess. But yeah, yeah, this fight it's fine. I mean, I feel like we probably talked about it after Lemos's last fight. Yeah. Either way, she 100% deserves somebody ranked this high and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Easy to forget, though.
This is a good fight. I think it's fairly matched up.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's very easy to forget with the pregnancy layoff and then the Dern fight for Nina. Just how solid of a striker that she actually is. I mean, that run she went on up to the Tatiana fight, she was upsetting everyone she beat. Nobody thought she'd go off on that run, and looked very, very good. And I think technically can hang with Lemos, but of course the power is going to be the great equalizer here. And then on the ground, Lemos is also quite good on the ground. But yeah, she's knocked down like everybody in her career so far, except for the Leslie Smith fight, which was at short notice at bantamweight ridiculousness. Unless I'm mixing her up with somebody else, but I think that was what that was. But yeah, since then it's been all systems go, and yeah, not mad at this at all. This is going to be fun, and I think it's good that Nina at least got her feet wet a little bit against Mackenzie. But yeah, this should be a fun matchup. So, all right. Jin though says, "Yikes, not good for Nina. Stamina. The only thing I don't like about this matchup is how fucking far away from now it is. Damn, Dagnabbit or Lemos.
December.
Yeah, this is one.
I can't believe we're getting December fights.
Yeah, this is one of the farthest out we've gotten lately.
That's wild, man.
Oh, that's a great point. So that's definitely
that's the end of the year fight card right there.
Yeah, the week before Christmas. Jeez. So, all right.
So far away.
Fingers crossed.
They couldn't get Lemos a fight before that?
Guess not. But all right. Moving on to a rebooking. So really not too much to say about it, but I'm happy it's happening again. At least that both fighters have a fight, because they were supposed to fight each other, then they had other opponents, yada yada, and now it's on UFC 266, which I'll get to see in person. So that'll be fun. Steve, we're back to where we began.
Yeah, Roxanne Modafferi versus Taylor Santos, rebooked for UFC 266, like Jake said, on September 25th. That is a big fight card. This is a very good fight. It should be a good fight, right?
Yep. This is another, like Lemos. This is kind of the step up the ladder that Tyla deserves and needs right now. So very glad that this fight's happening, as opposed to the very strange Mandy Bone booking that they gave Tyla after Roxy tore her knee or whatever, and then she got booked with Tatiana. Tatiana's out. Now we're back here. It all worked out in the end. But yeah, I think a great test for both in terms of stylistic clash, if I can speak. And I know that Stamina loves him some Tyler Santos, and I'm on the wagon now as well after her recent run. So Very much looking forward to this one. And yeah, we don't have to wait super long, not as long as that last fight. So that's good.
No, we're about a month away.
Yeah. And Roxy looks like she's putting in the work in the gym. I've been seeing Ramona posting some stories on Instagram with Roxy in there. So looking sharp. That'll be a fun one in Las Vegas. But after that, we got the a little bit of more injury related results. And Joseph, if you are still here, we're going to get to it now. I know you were asking about it earlier, but main event for Miesha Tate, Steve.
Yeah, Miesha Tate versus Caitlin Burr. It's headlining on October 16th. Kind of a weird fight. Wasn't expecting this, but good for Miesha, I guess.
I mean, main event good, yes, but this is. I agree with Joseph to an extent where he kind of hinted at, this being a trap fight. I don't feel like it is going to be one, but it's more of one than specifically for the reason that, okay, Steve, I think we could all agree that Miesha, after her last win, she jumps right in the mix. She should be fighting GDR, even Holly rematch would be fine, or Aldana. One of those three. Holly got pulled up to do the nonsense against Norma. GDR recovering, but I don't know where she's at with that. She could be good. I'm not sure. And then Irene, obviously she's good to go. Just a matter of getting that call. Instead, Ketlin's rematch with Sarah McMahon falls through because Sarah gets injured.
Yeah.
Now, Ketlin gets a rematch with not a rematch. She gets a main event with Miesha Tate.
Former champion. Yeah.
Former champ?
Yeah.
What a much better opportunity for her. She didn't need that Sarah McMahon rematch. She beat her already. Now she gets this spot. Holy shit, this is huge for Ketlin Vieira to get back into the mix. Like, this is much more of a win-win for this is higher more it's more beneficial for Ketlin than it is Miesha. So kind of surprised that Miesha took it, honestly, but
yeah, I'm pretty surprised that Miesha took this fight.
Like
maybe she wasn't offered anybody higher.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, in terms of like remaking a fight for Ketlin, and I know that Sarah did want to get back in there quickly. I don't know what happened with her recovery status and like timetable and all that, but for them to go from that to this and offer Miesha as like the replacement, we got with this chick just had something fall through kind of thing, like that surprises me and everything. So everything about this is pretty interesting for Miesha, I think. And I mean, Ketlin to get the spot coming off the loss to Yana and all that. So it's a very interesting matchup. But again, Steve, I don't agree with kind of the notion that Joseph was hinting at earlier, but I have always been a big supporter of Ketlin, but recently, man, since that Aldana knockout, she hasn't looked the same. That's been the problem. She has not looked the same at all. So I still, early pick here, an early favor is Miesha. Looked incredible, obviously, against Renault, and yes, it was Renault, but Ketlin just has not looked very good since that knockout. She can, of course, she can beat Miesha. I think she's skilled enough to do so, but Miesha, if she continues to look how she did against Renault, we talked about it, Steve, the week after she won. We went through the whole top 15. We think she can beat everyone that isn't named Nunes. Like we favor her against everyone if she looks that good. So I still feel that way until this fight potentially proves otherwise. So
yeah, we'll see, I guess, in October.
Yeah, but big fight for the division.
Yeah.
Oh, not the one I expected, but
no, not the one anybody expected. I don't think.
I mean, it obviously wasn't the plan, so it just how things fell together. But like, it's interesting that Miesha came into this spot. So, anyway, getting back to the comments, Alvin had one about the last fight. He says, "I'll be rooting for Ms. Modafferi. I like the older fighter, upsetting the up and comer, but hopefully Santos does well." I love how he throws it in at the end. Of course,
I don't know, man.
Oh.
Santos is tough as fuck.
She's very good. Joseph is back. He's still in here. He says, this is not going to be easy for Misha. Vieira is not Marlon. I mean, I don't think it's going to be as easy. That's for sure, Joseph. I agree with you there. But like, just if you go back and look at Ketlen Vieira before the Aldana fight, look at her in that fight right up to the knockout. She was looking good in that first round, I thought. Yeah. But, then she got totally obliterated. And since then, it's just been a different fighter. Hey, this is how much on the Ketlen train I was, Joseph, just for you. I'm going to say this, but I was under the impression on her undefeated streak that Nunes was going to need to finish her to beat her. That's how high on her I was. So
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. It's been not the same since then, unfortunately. I hope she does look good, even in defeat here.
Aldana changed things.
Yes, definitely. So we'll see. Jimmy says this should be good for Tate, but way better for Vieira since it's the main event. Yes, Ketlen wins way more in this circumstances here, going from that McWin rematch.
I think.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if she loses.
Right.
I mean, and what if she gasses? We've never seen her in a 5-round fight.
True.
And Misha,
she's a very good wrestler, Steve. She's got that resilient.
No, she is. But we've never seen her in 5 rounds.
Against a fellow grinder too, like
against Misha Tate, who does not fucking give you any space at all.
Yeah, exactly. And Centro Wing, this is what I love to hear, man. And I agree. That's kind of what we were at too, where it's like, I don't know, after watching the first Fana punch, it's hard not to go against Tate. The improvements are scary for her.
Yeah.
With all things considered, very scary for everybody. Stamina says, Misha said respectfully, they can all get it. That is true. She couldn't not take this fight after talk like that. Is Ketlen a 5-rounder though, as Steve just mentioned? So
that exactly. I don't know. But Drake, of course, she is a grinder. She's the Brazilian wrestler type. We haven't seen her go 5 rounds, so I don't see why she would gas, but we don't know. Until she does it, we don't know what's going to happen. And Misha's not an easy opponent.
Yeah, and Misha never gasses, so.
No, never.
But James says, Misha has different tools that I didn't even notice when I saw her fight until Ghost Man talked about her cage control. See? That's the thing, man.
She's also a former champion. I mean, come on. Let's throw some respect on Misha Tate's name.
Yeah, and I said it up until the Renault fight, I believe, at least afterward. It's around there. But if you did watch after on that run that Misha went on up until the title after the Ronda rematch, her striking was gradually improving fight by fight. It really was. But obviously, she's made some serious improvements since even that time. So
she's had a shit ton of time too, though.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a little bit maybe of that, Jessica Penne effect where, they have this big long break that wasn't related to injuries or anything like that. The time spent wasn't on the sidelines, or on the couch, let's say Dominic Cruz, who, had to recover from his injuries, which very impressive. Got to give him credit. But, these fighters, they had time just to keep getting better. And we were seeing that despite the age. And Centro says, I saw Tate was working with Trevor Whitman's feints and level changes in her game comes from him. Yeah. That guy is not a bad one to work with.
No, he literally changes fighters' striking path.
Look at Gaethje.
Yeah, exactly. Look what he did with Usman. He made Usman a fucking killer, like a literal killer. That guy was
K1 Usman.
That guy was a grinder, the wrestler grinding type. Now he's got hands that put people out. Scary. And that's due to Trevor Whitman, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joseph asks, how does Tate's cardio hold up for 5 rounds after a layoff? I don't think it will matter.
We've seen her go 5 rounds before. She was a champion. We've seen her go the full 5. She's fine.
Yeah, the only caveat maybe to that is, that fight with Holly specifically, or, more, I guess, longer fights for Misha, maybe haven't been as grinding as, let's say, potentially what Ketlen could do to her. Very possible to where, they have a very gritty wrestling match, which they're both very familiar with, you know, Misha's wrestling background and all that. But even then, if you look back in her career, and I know you said the layoff and all that, but consider this fight she just had looked just fine and was imposing her will, didn't have too much resistance, but still it takes energy to put out energy. And you look at crazy fights like the cat fight or, you know, even the Rocky fight was taxing on her. The Kedzie fight, there's so many to choose from, and she never slowed down too much.
Literally,
and even came back and won some of those, like the Kedzie fight. So
yeah,
but James, I like that comment. I'll leave it though. Oh, sorry.
We both clicked on it.
Yeah.
Trevor Whitman is one of the best things that ever happened to MMA. The sport almost doesn't deserve a mind like his. What a fucking guy. Give him all the flowers. You know what? What's even crazier, Stamina? Dude, the guy has literally made gloves that the UFC refuses to use.
That's a fair point.
He's, you know, the UFC has these eye-poking problems, which we don't see in other promotions, right?
Nope.
Trevor Whitman has gloves that won't let that happen, or will make that better. Will solve the problem.
Limit it.
Will solve the problem a lot better than what it already is. He's made gloves. He's a genius when it comes to, like, he's an all-around genius when it comes to MMA.
Yep. That is safe to say at this point for sure. Sammy says he hopes Misha wins this one. Joseph says
it's gonna be tough though. Like, Kellen ain't no fucking joke, man.
No, she definitely
when she's on her shit, she's really good.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a very, you know, a motivating spot, I imagine, for her. So, you know, the main event could be a good booster. I mean, get just the opportunity to go from what she was with to, you know, this. We'll see how that affects her and all that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, she goes from Sarah McMahon to Misha Tate. I get it. Misha Tate this is her second fight, you know, from her comeback, but she's still Misha Tate, guys, and it's a main event.
Yes, indeed. And Joseph says, is this the quickest turnaround of Tate's career? I mean, technically, yes, right? Because it's, well, yeah. I mean, you got to define turnaround in that case. But then he says, P.S. Everyone is sleeping on Ketlin. I haven't seen many comments about that yet, Joseph. So I'm not sure about that. I'm sure people are.
I think I literally just said people shouldn't sleep on Ketlin.
Yeah, you said that mid when he said that. But in terms of other reactions to this fight, I haven't really seen any thoughts like that yet, Joseph. We'll see as the fight gets closer. I wonder what the odds are. But I mean, I think it's fair to favor Misha, man. I mean, just look at the recent stuff. So, and hey, that's coming from me, as I said. So, all right, we'll move on from that though. Going to be a very interesting one.
I like it.
135. And then we move on to more injury related stuff. Kind of almost all of these, not all of them actually, but these ones coming up here.
Yeah.
This one is injury related, as it's a shakeup at strawweight.
Yep. Corey McKenna's out. Emily Whitmire will now fight Hannah Goldie in September. That's in 3 weeks? September 18th. One of them gets cut, right? Like the loser gets cut, loser gets sent home, loser gets sent to Bellator. Yeah.
I mean, probably at least for Hannah Goldie. Well, is Whitmire on a 2-fight losing streak as well? Is this both of them fighting to not go 0-3? I know for Goldie because you know she just lost to Belbita, but
yeah.
So if she, and I mean, I was thinking it was even possible she might get cut after that one, but hey, come save the day like Hannah Cyphers. There you go, you get another shot. So
we are in a pandemic.
She very much needs to win this regardless though. Whitmire, yes, she
I
needs
think
to win as well.
I think
but
both need to win the fight.
yeah,
And, I mean,
Goldie she has not looked great in the UFC. But she was
No.
very promising before that, but just hasn't quite put together. I know stuff has happened to her. She had, the injuries and all that, but
yeah,
it's been
but
rough.
still, you would think that it would be better, and it just hasn't really panned out.
Yeah.
Jen's like, what the hell? Hannah Goldie.
Yeah. And Alvin, this is true. Yes, you never want to see anyone lose their job. This is true. But they're in that situation, man.
There are people that I want to see lose their jobs.
I guess Alvin hasn't seen Steve talk about old Betch.
You know what? I don't think that Alvin has been around for the Betch talk.
He showed up after the Betch saga, so
yeah,
which she's not booked right now, is she? So we might get some more of that in the future. Yep. But so this fight is a fight, but stamina.
Let's prove Alvin wrong. Who do you guys want to see lose their job? Jimmy says he wants to see Cheyenne Bays lose her job. Anyone else?
But okay, so hold on, stamina. I see Alvin says no, James says Hill needs to lose her job.
Angela Hill needs to lose her job according to James.
Ghost
Phantom says Jin Frey needs to lose her job.
My goodness. Okay, Joseph. I mean, now you're being a little silly here. But I wanted to highlight this one from Stamina where it says 2 skids for both of them. Yes, I only spin it as loser leaves town if I actively dislike them, and in this case, I don't. I think the ceiling is pretty low for both, though. Fair, but Hill's buys got the double. Yeah. And hold on, Joseph. I want to highlight you saying Tate taking easy fights in this stage of her career when you just said that I think people are sleeping on Ketlin. So that means you don't think it's an easy fight. Where are you going?
All over the place.
Yeah, he is. But no, this isn't the first. I mean, we're moving on.
Would you guys like to see anybody else lose their jobs?
Or is it not, guys? Let's stay positive, please.
Cheyenne Bays, Angela Hill, Jin Frey, which is kind of shocking.
That one stings. That one stings.
Who else? That's it.
Positive vibes. Okay. Yes, I know why. I know that you hate Jin technique to see if it works. Why she should do. Yes, I know. But yep, stamina definitely. That's a hot one. I agree with that. I mean, it's contradicting.
Alvin hates us. Well, not me, but
honestly, though, guys, I mean, we don't want Alvin to leave either. We've already lost Makoto and others, so it's in a joking fashion. But no, Alvin, I hope that we're not being too serious there. I'm not. I mean, I am. But anyway, back on fucking track now. Good Lord, look what you've done, Steve.
They did it, not me. They answered. They didn't have to answer my question.
True. Fair
enough. This is their show, by the way.
Yeah, very true. Anyway. Last bit of news for the evening. Sad news. In terms of fights shifting. Yeah, Steve, the last portion here, the last half was all injury related stuff. So yeah, I don't know did you see this, Steve? Because this was a little bit before the show started. Before the show started.
I saw Mara Romero Barella and Monique Ariani are out of this weekend's Invicta FC 44 card.
Is that this week? No,
not this week. Right?
I was gonna say I didn't put that on the lineup.
Is that this week or no?
Oh, the buzz has been too quiet. There's no way. Let me see this. It is this week, so I guess we're gonna be breaking that down. All right,
it is this week. Yeah,
I thought it was next week. All right.
No, Yeah, it's this week.
All right. Well, anyway, I guess that's a perfect segue into into the breakdown or the preview
That we weren't gonna do.
No, that is hilarious. Because I was going to say what the new fights were, but now we can just look at them. So, wow, yeah, that really snuck up on me. I guess it is Monday, so they'll ramp it up a little bit before then. So, all right, that concludes
Wednesday. Starting Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That concludes the news, you guys. So Invicta 44 is this week. All right. Wow. How about that? So, as you know, 2 titles.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that was soccer.
Line.
We do soccer here?
No, we don't.
Or football, as the English call it. Or the rest of the world call it.
Yep. And thank you, Alex. I apologize. I thought it was next week, man. I know we've been talking about it for a little bit, and I was thinking about trying to book people this week, but obviously not now. So maybe next week. But yeah, Mr. Lee says this weekend. My God, I feel terrible, guys. I didn't put that in any of the, obviously not on any of our promotion for this episode. But anyway, Steve, yes.
Drake's slipping, guys.
I'm all over the place these days. As for the fights, the replacements for Ariane, Melissa Messer-Valencia is filling in and taking on Katie Saul now. And if you remember, she took on Jessica Del Boni and lost in the Phoenix series. And then for Mara, Emily King is coming in to take on Brogan Walker Sanchez, which
that's 5-5.
Fun. It's a fun replacement.
Sure. At 5-5 against Brogan Walker Sanchez, who's 6-2. Solid fight.
Yep.
I would have rather have seen Mara Romero Barella because she's fun as fuck. But hey, what are you gonna do?
Yep. Interesting. I don't think it said why Mara was out. But for Monique, it was visa stuff. I'm imagining it would be visa stuff for Mara because she's in Florida now. And
she's here.
I saw her a couple weeks ago training. She's at ATT. I saw her a couple weeks ago.
Maybe it's drugs again.
You never know. We don't like to speculate. So anyway, should we? Yeah. Should we start from the bottom or the top here, Steve? I guess
the bottom. There's a couple of fights with like 0-0s.
Like to mention them. 145 bout.
I haven't mentioned them.
Yontef taking on Carleen Chandler, who I initially did think when the card was announced was Chelsea Chandler. What's going on with her, Steve? The 209 gal, where's she at?
I don't know, man.
Should be in Bellator.
She has her own gym. She's training. I guess I can probably pedal my way over there.
There you go. Let's see what's up.
Try to figure it out.
Up on your bike.
That's not what I meant, but I mean, I didn't literally mean get on a bike and go to the gym. I meant like walk my fat ass into the gym and go see.
Or drive your badass truck that you got. You still got the same truck.
I do.
Steve has a nice truck, you guys.
I got my big baddie.
Yeah, that thing is a beaut. I really liked it, dude.
Thank you. I really like it too.
Ghost says this event came up quickly. Yeah, exactly, man. It's just literally snuck up on me, as you could tell. But
literally stopped Drake in the face.
Yeah. We got some atomweight bouts here, which is great. As I mentioned, the Katie Saul one, and Katie Perez is back, who was also in that Phoenix tournament, right, Steve? I'm remembering she was in there. Obviously didn't make it because Del Boni is a beast, as was LVZ in that one, taking on Natalie Salcedo, who's making her debut. Caitlin Salmons is back. Caitlin Ginger Salmons, that is, against Helen Peralta. Boy, oh boy, Steve, I like that fight a lot at 125. Helen Peralta
all the way down on the prelims, though. I would have liked to see her on.
I mean, look at the rest of the card, though.
I know, I get it. There's Laura Mueller in there, and I know.
Yeah, but
it's not really giving Helen Peralta any love.
No, and she was she's coming back for the first time after her bare knuckle run, right? She wasn't champion, was she? But she was on a good winning streak, right? So she's a badass, very solid striker. and against Caitlin Salmons, who is always fun to watch as well.
That's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, that should be a good one. And
for sure.
Obviously, Helen's going to want to keep it on the feet. She's got pretty decent defensive grappling, but I think
she's decent.
Yeah, I think Caitlin will probably want to get her on her back and do what she does from there. But that's a tough one to pick. I don't know if I'm going to make a pick for that, but I really like that fight.
I'm going Helen Peralta. Her hands are heavy, man.
Yeah, and the experience too. So I think I'm with that. I'll go Helen. But then we got Serena, who is
love that. I love that she's on the main card though. I know I'm talking about Helen Peralta, saying, well, what about Helen Peralta? But we get Serena de Jesus on the main card, which is amazing. I love Serena.
Yeah, definitely always good to see Serena Southpaw, and then against Lauren Mueller, who's making her Invicta debut. And I don't think we've seen her since that Wu Yanan armbar, right? I mean, I don't remember her fighting anywhere else, but obviously Lauren Mueller trains a lot with Alliance, Jessica Penne, Angela Hill for all you guys and them. So it'll be interesting to see how she can come back after getting cut by the UFC. After it seemed like they had a decent little push there for her for a little bit because she was on the Contender Series, right? But taking on Serena, Serena, if you remember, probably should have advanced in the Phoenix tournament she was in.
She should have. Yes, that blew me away.
Yeah,
and Serena and I talked about it.
Kansas City.
Yeah, that Serena and I talked about it. That blew me away that she didn't fucking win that fight.
Yeah, that was a rough one. So this is a pretty good matchup, and some question marks around Mueller, as mentioned, but Serena, we always know what she's kind of going to do.
I'm going for Serena. I like Lauren. I like her, but I'm really rooting for Serena. She deserves a win after that last one.
Princess Tiger. But yeah, against Serena Southpaw. So I'm going to lean Serena as well, just because
she's got heavy hands, man.
Yeah,
she's
fearless.
She's kind of that Clay Guida type of fighter.
Okay, that's good. That is good. Yeah, that works. Mr. Lee says Invicta FC 44 pay-per-view. I don't mind paying $20 to help support Invicta FC. I love the idea of an all-women's league.
It's weird. It's I don't like you. I don't mind paying for Invicta. Drake and I have done it in the past, but I think it's weird to ask people to pay after signing a new television contract and only putting on one event. You would think that they would put on a couple of events. Let the Access TV, who has a really good MMA knowledgeable fan base, tuning in. They've had many of MMA fight promotions. I would think that Invicta would do better.
They had a weekly MMA show, Inside MMA, throwback.
They did. They did. That was a long time ago. Oh, man. I would think that Invicta would do better just kind of building up the fan base that Access TV brings. And then if you're going to go with the pay-per-view model for a two championship title fight card, then you go with it eventually, not out of the jump. But I mean, I get it. They need to make money, I guess.
And maybe just feeling things out, I guess, as well. But
yeah, but you would think.
I mean, they stacked it pretty good. It's a pretty solid card.
Pay-per-view is hard to sell.
Names.
Pay-per-view is hard to sell now, man. Yeah. Look at.
But it's not a lot of money either. Like Mr. Lee says here.
It's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money for people who don't know who these.
It's a night out. Yeah, I know.
No, yeah, it's cheaper than a night out.
Yeah, that's for sure. I meant like dinner or something. Maybe not going out drinking, but then it's cheaper for sure.
It's like Taco Bell money.
Right, exactly. Depending on what you're getting, stacking the box. But Yeah,
It's like
Serena.
that's like 10 tacos from Jack in the Box.
Those little mini taco things they got.
No, they have normal tacos that are 2 for
Oh,
$1.
okay. Well, they got those mini ones now too.
Yeah, have you had them?
I haven't. I'm kind of curious.
I haven't either.
I'm not too much of a spicy guy, but I kind of want to try
I
them
love spicy. I should try them.
before we lose the audience.
They're
Make
really
everyone
bright.
hungry.
They're really bright red too.
Yes, they are. Hilarious. Well, Rue, before we continue on, I think this is a good question. Tackler says, how can they build up Invicta FC as a big brand? I think just keep consistently putting on shows, and the plan is to have more shows than they ever have, like consistently. So
yeah, they want to do like 16 shows or some shit.
It was 21, 22
or 21 or something.
Shannon was saying,
yeah, that's a lot, man.
I mean, that's the key, because honestly, look at the UFC. They have more shows than anybody. They're not as stacked as they used to be, as we've seen with these last couple of cards, but they still attract people, especially the hardcores. You tune in when there's fights on, and especially when you're familiar with the product, people are going to tune in no matter what, even if you're not working for the business like I do or anything. But yeah, I think that having consistent activity is probably the key there. And Invicta's been around for long enough now where they have their hands in a lot of things and all that. So I think that's going to be big for them once they can really get that going. But I mean, and that's why they need that. Rue, he says, I feel like Invicta's only for us degenerates in the chat. I mean, they're still coming back, sort of. Starting up this new era, reestablishing a little bit.
That's kind of my point, Drake. Is I don't know about going to the pay-per-view model from the jump. They've literally only done one fight card on Access. They need to do a couple more. Build the audience, build the Access TV audience, and then go to the pay-per-view model. I don't know. I want them to do well. Obviously, I want them to do well. Big fan of Invicta. Clearly, big fan of Invicta. This show is, but I wonder what their numbers are going to be.
Yeah. And also, speaking of Misha, she's going to do commentary for this event.
She is. She's on commentary for this fight. Yep.
I don't remember who she's doing it with, though. It's not TJ or.
No, isn't it Jimmy Smith?
I don't know if it was Jimmy. I feel like it was somebody bald, but I don't remember.
I think it's Jimmy Smith, isn't it?
I don't know. I really don't remember who it was, but and yes, Chuck, you're right. I forgot about the Phoenix series being a part of the era. True. I did forget about that. So, and he also says Invicta said during the press release for the buyout that they would be doing regular events plus 3 to 4 pay-per-view tentpole events each year. So yeah, they're gonna be doing more. I have that insider knowledge.
Yeah, which is fine, but I don't think that they've built that audience yet. But I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, they prove me wrong.
Yeah, of course. So, as we continue on, this was a fight that wasn't originally there either, Steve. Jody Escobar was not supposed to be taking on Liz Tracy, who Liz Tracy, as you know, has been killing it in Submission Underground, submitting everybody. Yeah. As she's normally a flyweight. Now she's dropping down to make her 115 debut. And Liz Tracy is always in fantastic fights. The Geltmacher fight, the Leonardo fight. She is so fun to watch. And, yeah, that's my Portland girl. So I got to be a little bit biased, but hey, what you going to do? Against Jody Escobar, who, again, returning to Invicta after her UFC stint. I'm forgetting who her last fight was, but either way.
Click on her name.
Yes, I can do that, can't I? Have the power of the click. It was the Hannah Cyphers fight, which I don't remember that one very much. I thought it was Angela Hill. My mind was blanking there. So, yeah, unfortunately, never got a win in the UFC. Did Jody, but
she even lost to Carolina, who nobody does.
That might have been Carolina's last win. So yeah, I mean, Jody's always been a very small strawweight as well. Pretty muscly, but she's she probably could drop that and make atomweight, which I'm surprised that she never has. And I mean, hey, the healthier you are, the better, of course. And she is older now, so probably that ship has sailed. But taking on Liz Tracy, who's, going to be bigger, have a grappling advantage. I think speed and technique will be in Jody's favor, but Liz is pretty relentless with her attack. It will be fun. It's never not fun with her. So assuming she makes weight on short notice here for a new division, but we'll see. I like this fight a lot. I do. And
it's kind of a throwback fight.
Yeah, definitely. Two familiar names, and return again for Jody, but I got to go with Liz Tracy. Are you kidding me? Maybe the new division, she'll look even better. She's been killing it in submission.
She's been on fire. She's been on fire, man. Yeah.
I swear at that. So, and then she throws hands on the feet, and she can take a lot of damage, Steve, as we've seen in those fights I mentioned. I'm really excited to see Liz Tracy back, and I don't know if she'll get a finish just because Jody is very tough and can survive pretty good. I mean, we'll see on the ground. Liz is getting a lot better. So, Liz Tracy for me. I don't know by method, but I got to take the Portland girl. Jimmy says Jody we haven't seen her in a while. Yep.
2
James Esquivel, she hasn't won in like 3 years. Yep. Mr. Beckham, evening, gentlemen. I guess Steve's hot tonight. Hot. Oh, his hat previews Kayla Harrison's opponent's futures. Yes, it does. All right, you had me confused there, Aaron.
Yeah,
good to see you, buddy.
Aaron or Drake doesn't know how to read Aaron's
I'm all over today.
Hat.
Yeah. Sammy says he thinks Tracy gets this one easy. There you go. Alvin says,
I don't know if it's easy, but I think she wins.
Yeah. Alvin says, forgive my ignorance, but I don't really follow Invicta, but still wishing all the fighters success. We'll take it, man. We'll take it. Here's your opportunity to learn a little bit and tune in because it only gets better after.
You can find a stream like everybody else.
Yeah.
Or you can actually pay for it.
Yeah. Let's
do the right 20. Thing. Do the right thing and pay for it.
Yeah, support the great athletes, Shannon Knapp and company. Brogan Walker Sanchez, Emily King afterwards, as we touched on. Mira Romero Barella out now. Steve, Brogan is a pretty solid prospect still. Emily King is not quite a prospect territory. She has had some fun fights, and of course she was in Bellator against was it Carey, right? She had the Carey fight. She had 2 fights in Bellator, right? She beat Ava Knight in the debut, and then I was there for that, and then she lost to Carey and did not look good at all against Carey. And then since then she fought recently. Chuck, I know you were streaming it or something. Maybe not. Maybe it was Kayla Racho. I don't remember. I can look, right, Steve? I can click.
Yes, you can click on her name.
Emily King, though, very fun person. Oh, it's Shannon. She didn't know. She didn't fight Kayla. Wow, she's staying very active. So I was right about the Bellator fights, though, but had a loss in the last one. Either way, Steve, I think that Brogan's probably going to win this just because I think we know the potential she has. Pretty solid, pretty well-rounded. And her last loss was to she's beat Miranda Maverick, actually, and only lost to Pearl Gonzalez and Blanchfield, which no shame in those losses at all. Yeah, so she's going to be looking to rebound, and this is pretty perfect circumstances to do so. I think Brogan shouldn't have too much trouble here unless she gets caught in a submission. But other than that, she should be able to handle the fight wherever she wants, right? Yeah,
she's the better fighter, I think.
Yeah. And Alvin says, I will tune in. I will pay for this Invicta FC pay-per-view since you fine gentlemen are doing a great job previewing these fights. Oh, man. Making me blush now. Well, good, Alvin. I'm happy that you're saying that before we've even got to the first title fight, which
there's 2 of them.
Is going to be one where we're going to be a little worried. Oh, never mind. The bantamweights are first. I was going to say the main event is going to be maybe a worry, but both vacant title fights. We'll start off with the bantamweights, and we had a question from was he interviewed her? That's what it was. He says he interviewed Emily King last week ahead of her bout at Victory FC 87. The step in Invicta is a new development. Good for her, though. Tough climb, though. Yes, indeed. So thanks for that, Chuck. Mr. Lee says he absolutely loves Lisa Versosa, another hometowner of mine, closer than Liz Tracy, actually, in the Vancouver area. But I was going to go back to see who asked the question of what is your guys' main event. Jimmy asked which fight on this card will be your guys' main event. I think it's probably the co-main event for me, just because Lisa Versosa, the Battle Angel, love that woman. She is obviously a warrior amongst warriors. That Yulia, there you go, Stamina. Yulia Stoliarenko fight will forever be christened in blood, literally and figuratively, because it was one of the best fights you'll ever see, and utterly violent. The bloodiest fight I've ever seen. If you guys haven't seen that one, Alvin, I'm looking at you. Go watch Stoliarenko and Versosa before you watch this fight. Even though Lisa didn't win, my God, the performance she put on and the damage she took, otherworldly. But here she is taking on Tanisha Tennant for the title. This is after Lisa rebounded off that Stoliarenko loss, which was the only one of her career, after she rebounded and beat Canuto at one of the last Invicta events of 2020, I think. So now she's ready to get back in there, taking on Tanisha Tennant, who many people think should have beat Danielle Wolf on Contender Series. So how different things could have been, Steve. How different they could have been. Here we are now. Tanisha Tennant is very tough as well, but Versosa, man, I think has been somebody that you and I both, a lot of Invicta fans as well, have always known that she's
kind
one
of
of
grew watching her,
Yes.
you know, like through coming up through Invicta.
Yeah, and she had 10 amateur fights, which was by
We
design.
knew she would eventually be in this spot in a title fight.
Definitely. And the potential was obvious for her. She's been one of the best prospects out there for a good while. You know, we've known that one day she will be in the UFC, especially as a bantamweight. It will happen. If she would have beat Stoliarenko, probably would have been there, because we know Invicta titles at that time, especially, were definitely contracts to the UFC. Who knows now? But either way, Lisa is still very talented, and I simply do think that she is just better than Tanisha. I think that Tanisha's striking,
tough.
Tanisha's tough. Could give her problems, but I just can't see either one of these fighters being finished, because they're both very tough and durable, and but they bring it. They both bring it. So it's like, I think it has the potential to be wild. But I don't see it going to the ground either, because they don't typically like to do that. Like, we've seen it, but Chuck here says Stoliarenko versus Versosa was set to be ladies' fight of the year until the UFC the next day. Legitimately, that was what happened, because that fight was the day before Weili versus Joanna, which completely overshadowed that fight, you guys. I'm sure some of you don't know. Stamina says yay on my pronunciations. Thank you. I know. I agree. I'm full force with you. Alvin says he will check it out. Good to hear. Jen asking Ghost if we'll get a breakdown of Daniel Taylor one day. Says you're joking, right? We'll get to that momentarily. But Steve, as for this first main event, will be the first 5-rounder for Tanisha as well. So I think that 5 rounds favors Lisa, having had that experience, especially in a crazy war with Stoliarenko, where she went full 5 just fine, especially with the madness going on there. Tanisha remains to be determined, but simply put, I just think the experience that and opponents also you got to consider for Lisa. She's just on that upward trajectory still, and I think that
for sure
got her in this one.
She's the better fighter out of the two. I mean, Tanisha Tennant's good. It's just she's really kind of green still. She's still learning. This is a good spot for her, though. I mean, shit. If she wins and becomes a champion, it's amazing for her career. It's gonna be tough. Versosa's tough.
That she is.
I don't see Tennant getting finished, though.
Right.
Strong.
Yeah, I think this will be a very fun 5-round fight. Just usually how it is with Versosa in general.
Yeah,
and I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Good combinations. So, all right. I mean, we're on the same page with every fight so far, aren't we, Steve?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know about the next one though.
for the main event, it's tricky because, as I said, if you're gonna have a fight you're a little bit questionable about, it is generally a fight that involves Danielle Taylor. No
Yeah.
disrespect to her, she seems like a lovely person, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her or anything like that. But we know that her fights just aren't too great generally. But
Yeah, she
her
just
last fight with
circles around the
Aguilar,
cage a lot. She circles around the cage a lot. You know, she's very tough to get a hold of. That's her fight style. Go says, here's your breakdown. Circle, circle, right hand, circle, right hand, rinse, repeat. That's literally what she does. She
yeah,
circles.
in general, yes,
And it's
indeed.
not like she's running away. She's literally circling the cage and kind of like looking to jab here, jab it, go inside a little bit. She's not a very wildly active fighter, whereas Ducote should actually go in and freaking try to land hard punches. She's gonna have to chase, unfortunately. Emily is.
Yeah. But you know, as much as I could go on to break this fight down, because of the fact that Danielle does fight that way, it's like, why is it even going to be worth it? Because you know that it could very well end up that way. But I think that Emily Ducote is going to win this fight simply because third time's the charm. Third time's the charm.
You would hope
Had
it is.
had the loss to Aaliyah Malay in Bellator flyweight. Then comes into Invicta, loses to Kanako at strawweight. No shame in either of those losses.
No.
And you remember, Steve, she did knock out Janae Samranjan, who, what a fall from grace, very sad. But yeah, we've seen that Emily has solid power at 115, and so does Danielle Taylor. But again, we know how it generally goes. I'm just gonna assume that she's gonna get in there, impose her will, get a hold of Danielle Taylor.
You would hope that happens, but again,
I
Daniel
think
Taylor,
she should take
I know
notes.
Daniel Taylor's kind of hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, that she is. But I mean, that's why I want to mention the Jessica Aguilar fight, which was Danielle's last fight, where split decision. I do think Jessica should have won, but that was a pretty fun fight, and she was fought fairly differently in that one, and maybe it was because of Aguilar. But either way, if she fights a little bit more loose than that, could probably help out Emily's chances. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Either way, Steve, my pick is Dakota, just out of faith for her to finally get a title that has eluded her so far. And I mean, you gotta imagine she's more motivated than ever right now. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it simple there.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Ducote wins. She deserves a fucking championship win. She should win. Danielle Taylor is just not going to make it easy for her.
Nope,
Just
never
is not going to be easy for Emily, unfortunately. But Emily's been in some really exhausting fights, hasn't she?
Yeah. I mean, both the Alima and Kanako fights were very strenuous.
Yeah.
But
Danielle Taylor's going to do that too, just in a different way.
yeah. Yeah, and Jin says, so he should have had a win over Taylor. And Jessica Penne arguably.
I think a lot of people should have had a win over Taylor. It's just Taylor is really hard to win against. I mean, look at her record, 11-5. That's a really good MMA record, guys.
Yeah. And, Mr. Lee says he noticed that I interviewed for Souza last year. Yes, I interviewed her. I think she was the last person I interviewed before the pandemic in person. And I actually didn't want to talk to her again, go to her gym, meet up with her or something for this fight. But obviously, you see that I lost track of time. So maybe afterward, and maybe she can have the belt with her if it lines up that way. So, yeah, she is like less than 30 minutes away from me, probably 20-ish. So, yeah, Mr. Lee, that's how close we are there. But, yeah, so Steve and I in full agreement on Invicta FC 44.
Yeah.
What a card. What a card it shall be. Excited for it. A nice 9-fight lineup as we get ready to do the single fight of the UFC. But first, Chuck says, where was it? He said that John has some news, interesting news on Twitter. Is it
Cheyenne Bays versus Loma Lukbunmi?
No way. Oh, I like how he highlighted it like that.
On November 20th.
Bays versus Loma.
Yep,
Well,
I love it.
I think that's
a fabulous fight, to be honest. Like, I know you guys feel the way that you feel about.
Is it a fabulous fight, or is it a fabulous fight for Loma?
I don't know. Cheyenne's tough, man. Like, she's tough. She's an odd one. She's hard. She's kind of hard to figure out, you know? Whereas Loma is just straight up beautiful fucking Muay Thai. Her striking is wonderful. It's pure. It's fantastic. It's great. I'm a big Loma Lukbunmi fan. I hope she wins this fight by a fabulous knockout. I hope that's the way it goes. But Cheyenne Bays is tough.
I think that Loma should be able to, based purely off skill, should be able to win this fight easily.
She should be.
But the fact that it might not go that way shows you the problem with her being forced to be at strawweight. Like, because Baez is going to have a good size advantage on her, Yeah.
But that's also true.
But in terms of who's a better fighter, it's definitely Loma. And Stamina, surprised, says Cheyenne versus Loma. Seriously. Jamie says, easy win for Loma. Should be. Interesting. But again, like, also shows you, I think the UFC, by making that fight, knows they can only take Loma so far. Put her in a fight like this rather than somebody closer to top 15. They're like, all right, yeah, once she gets there, no matter how good she gets, it's just not going to matter, unfortunately. Very unfortunately. She is an atomweight. So Jin says once Loma gets her in the clinch, it's over. James says Baez couldn't get out of a scarf hold.
She's so much bigger, guys. She's so much bigger than Loma, though. She's a strong girl. It's not going to be the Nunes versus Malecki fight, where Malecki is, she's not a strong girl. Baez is actually really strong.
Ghost says, what happens when Baez loses this?
Nothing.
She just fights someone else.
Someone else.
The fact that she beat Gloria keeps her pretty safe right now.
Yeah, you guys might want her to get cut or whatever. That's fine, but it's not going to happen. Not if she loses to Loma Lukbunmi.
If she gets styled on, which again very possible, and then another loss after that, then she'd be 1-4.
Yeah,
then we might be having some serious discussion there. So
she's coming. Cheyenne Bays is literally coming off of a fight of the night performance, or a performance award, right?
Yes, which also helps.
Yeah, so I mean, she ain't going nowhere for a bit.
Yep, but Steve and I are going to get out of here after this fight because I am fucking starving. My stomach is yelling at me.
I gotta piss so bad.
That too. So
I'm like, my legs are like shaking.
I know, and I've been standing up this whole time too. So.
I don't know why you're doing that to yourself. But
I know. Well, it's once you get to this point, it's a little bit much, and we're usually done by now. So let's it's about a perfect amount of time. But and Ghost says Loma will inside leg kick her to death. Yeah, very possible.
I hope that's what happens. I'm a massive Loma fan. I love the girl. I mean, Drake knows that. But Shine's gonna be tough.
All right, UFC Vegas 35 preview, just a single fight. And Steve, sad for you because I know that you were looking forward to Tracy Cortez coming back, but she's now out of the fight, which
And we don't even know why, right?
No, I don't think so. But it opens the door.
Ortega put it on her too hard.
I guess so. But Tracy Cortez not being in the fight anymore opens the door for Demo, as I like to call her, Vanessa Demopoulos, as she takes on JJ.
I like her. I mean, Demopoulos, big fan. I want her to win. Aldrich is not going to be easy, though. Again, not an easy fight. Her Demopoulos first, her debut, UFC debut, not going to be easy. Aldrich, but she can win. Demopoulos is very good.
Yeah, very crafty. Obviously, if anyone who obviously we discovered today that the chat does not they don't watch LFA, so they will not have seen the inverted triangle choke.
Crazy.
That's the kind of shit that she can pull off. Yeah. And of course showed some serious toughness in that Lupi Godinez loss. But yeah, it's going to be a tough hill to climb with JJ, who I do know a lot of people don't think she beat Courtney Casey either. I was one of the few people who did think she won that fight. Then before that, had the Sabina Maza loss, which I actually think she won that one to go full circle back to the Phantom Punch breakdown. I do think JJ just edged that one out.
No, she didn't.
Weird little bit of a run for JJ in the last couple of fights. But she's always in these fights, right, where very competitive. You remember the Macy Barber fight, which is this loss right here. She was beating Macy before she got finished, which was surprising to see her finish because she's very tough. But that's props to Macy in that one. But JJ was beating her. So yeah, taking on Vanessa Demopoulos now, as you see, pretty good size favorite for JJ, which I think is fair.
He probably deserves that.
Yeah, especially with the short notice. It would be a little bit closer. She'd be favored no matter what, but it'd be closer with the window closed. And just the thing about this fight, and my goodness, I did not realize actually that Vanessa was that short. Yes, okay, that's the problem, right? Is Vanessa Demopoulos is a strawweight, Steve. We got to remember this. And JJ did used to be a strawweight, but now she's pretty comfortably at flyweight. This is another situation that is very frustrating to see fighters get in the UFC, make their debuts, short notice, up weight classes. They try to do the same fucking thing to Erin Blanchfield, which is bullshit. Vanessa Demopoulos, you could argue, still needs to get some wins outside of the UFC, but now she's here now capitalizing on an opportunity, which I understand.
Yeah, but she's like taking advantage, of the opportunity. How do you say no to a UFC fight?
I know.
It's going to be tough. Aldrich is going to be tough, but I mean, how do you say no? This is her in. She's finally there. Just don't lose in a bad way.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll go and fight at 115, where she belongs.
I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will definitely drop. But yeah, this is I think that in a fight like this, she'll need to try and keep the distance and fight rangy, which is never favors her. Obviously, she's very, very limited in her length and all that. Whether it's height and reach, as you can see here, where she's gonna probably look pretty outsized the more that I look at these numbers.
She is. It's definitely gonna be outsized. I mean, Aldrich is heavier and bigger than Demopoulos, for sure.
Yeah, I think that the best path to victory here for Demopoulos is probably to find a submission, which
it has to go to the ground. It has to go to the ground for Demopoulos to win. She can't stay standing with the heavy-handed Aldrich.
Yeah. So, Be tough. It's gonna be tough for Vanessa on short notice. Would have been otherwise. This is just the entry into the UFC, right? As we've seen with others recently and all that. I think JJ just imposes her will, kind of grinds her out, probably lands a good amount on her standing because JJ Vanessa does take shots, as we saw in that Loopy fight. She took plenty, but it was from Loopy, who was on point that night. But she hung in there tough and rallied back late in that fight. Not enough to win it, but landed some good shots on Loopy as well. Either way, JJ Aldrich for me by probably unanimous. I don't think there'll be a finish for her. If there's a finish, I do think it would be Demopoulos, though, catching her. But I'm not going to predict that. I think Aldrich unanimous.
You hate to see the fighter who doesn't typically fight at the weight class that they're fighting in their debut go against a fighter. Like that. It all roads lead to a loss for them. But Demopoulos can pull it off if it goes to the ground. It's gonna be tough getting Aldrich down there. I'm gonna go with Aldrich decision. I wouldn't be surprised if Demopoulos gets the win via a rear naked choke or whatever on the ground if it happens to go to the ground. But smart bet is to go with Aldrich for sure.
Yep.
I think this is just an opportunity for Demopoulos to get her foot in the door. Finally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As we've seen plenty this year. I mean, that's been a real big theme of this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is, Drake. We've been seeing fighters going up or down in a weight class, not fighting at their normal weight.
I mean, look at the Sajara fight with Elise Reed. Good Lord.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's been quite a few lately where it's just kind of a foot in the door type of situation for them. If they lose, they lose, but at least they're in the UFC now. At least they get a second fight. Just don't get finished in a bad way.
Yeah, exactly. So, on that note, we can wrap it up as I do see the court going on in the chats right now. Yep, that's why they're mods. You guys take care of it. Appreciate you. Trust your judgments. But yeah, Steve, we clean swept the entire set of fights here with the card that we didn't realize this week. And the one fight, UFC Vegas 35, a card that is headlined by, who's the main event this week? See, I don't even know shit.
For the UFC?
Yeah. Oh, it was just down here. It's Chikadze and Barbosa. That'll be fun.
And Barbosa.
That'll be a good one.
Chikadze. Love that guy. Oh, yeah. I love him. But I mean, Edson is amazing as well. So that's going to be a good one.
Yep. So, Mr. Lee, thanks for tuning in, man. Sailing on out right before. See you all next week. Thank you for tuning in, man.
For sure.
James says 3 hours. Damn great job, Stephen Drake. Thank you, man. Yeah, we had, it was that first hour with all the PFL nonsense.
It's true.
We really got it. That's on me. I'm sorry for, but thank you guys for the engagement. That was a lot of you guys too. So appreciate it.
It was. It was nice.
Yeah. Just you get passionate topics. That's what you like to talk about. So,
yeah.
And Alvin asks, what happens when fighters don't fight at their normal weight?
They lose.
Yeah, it doesn't typically go too well, Alvin. There's weight classes for a reason. I mean, I'm sure you do remember that Sajara and Elise Reed one, Alvin. I know you were around for that time, so that's kind of a good example. Especially when it's that drastic, because that was about as bad of an example as a perfect example you could have. So anyway, you guys, we're at that point. Don't forget, follow us, like, share, and subscribe at Drakers _ at Steve K _ MA at the Scrap News. Working on a whole bunch of new things, more YouTube content, more stuff on the site itself. Very exciting time to be a part of the Scrap Pack, as Stamina says. So look forward to all that stuff. And I mean, to segue off of that, Steve, I know you had a article today or tomorrow, or what you got coming? What you got coming?
Yeah, it's called Monday MMA Musings. It's should have dropped it earlier today, but I just couldn't get it done. Well, didn't have the time, and then to jump on the show, didn't have the time to finish it up. But I'll be dropping it tonight. I guess I'll finish up, and then I have another article coming out. I guess sometime this week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday-ish, something like that. What about you, Drake?
Very nice. Yeah, so I got coming. Let's see, in the chamber right now. I think just the chat I had with Meng Bo on Saturday night. I caught up with her before, of course, the one atomweight Grand Prix finally happens when she takes on Ritu Fogit at One Empower on September 3rd. So about 2 weeks from now.
Next week. Oh, yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, so very excited. She won't give any spoilers, but she's ready to go. I'll say that. Very good stuff with Mengbo. Always, she is amazing. We have some good chemistry going. So look for that on SCMP sometime this week. And then I got an interview lined up tomorrow, and then one on Thursday with Alexander, who was here earlier. And yeah, I think that is about it for right now. Yeah, I think so. So we can send it on home, Steve.
All right, yeah. three hours into this bitch. Thank you to everybody who tunes in on a weekly basis, comes into the chat. We really do appreciate you guys. Stamina James, Jimmy, Jin, all the J's, Ghost Phantom, Alvin, Alex, Aaron, Joseph, even though you throw us some crazy shit sometimes.
Captain Hot Takes.
Captain Hot Takes. Yes. Chuck. Yusuf was here.
Stayed up late.
Of course. Anybody else I'm missing? And to everybody who watches us not live, thank you as well. You mean just as much as everybody else does. We just don't know who you are. So until next week, have a great life.
Peace.